So, good evening, very nearly good morning. So I'm Penny. This is what am I calling this? The Plastic Modeler Show. This is going to be a bit of an experiment we'll see how it goes for a couple of weeks. Now, this show is all about people coming together, having a bit of a chill, getting on with something. It doesn't matter what the project is, just that you're doing something. And then maybe I can pass on a tip to you, and maybe you can pass on a tip to me. Nobody knows everything, but between us, hopefully we'll know a lot. So I am extremely fortunate, extremely lucky to have an absolutely wonderful guest with me. If you would like to join in the show, I have put somewhere on the chat, somewhere I've put a little link. Just follow that. That will bring you into my show, and then I can bring you in. But we have one guest, and I'm really, really honored to introduce P40F20.
Hi, everybody.
So I don't think anyone's ever seen you before. I know we've seen your wonderful, helpful comments. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, and hopefully possibly to a new audience?
Well, I've spent 35 years as an injection mold designer and a model builder. So that's kind of what I bring to the plate, I guess.
So you know probably a hell of a lot more than me then.
Actually, I was on with you a couple of times. I think it was last year with the Root Master show. And that's when you got involved with helping me to get the Root Master, me being a Yank and not being able to buy it from Harshit.
Yes, I remember that I was extremely upset that you were buying them. Was it £25 an issue?
It was £25 an issue and £25 to mail each issue.
Yes, and £50 an issue, which is 5 times more than the cover price. And I was, I mean, look, if people put issues on eBay, they can put them on for whatever price they want, and if people are willing to pay the prices, they will. But I just thought that was too much. It's not the most anyone's ever paid for a Root Master issue. I hear one went for £500 last week.
Must have went awful bad.
Yeah, but if you've got no choice, you know, I don't mind helping out, and you've helped me out, not just with the comments that help me improve myself, but you've physically helped me out with parts. I had a more recent problem with the Fiat. I needed a spare part and I couldn't get it, and I just needed one of two issues because I had a wheel problem. Just one sec. We have got a guest coming in. I just want to acknowledge that I've seen him. I will just bring him in a sec. Okay. So obviously I asked you, I knew I couldn't get anything from the UK site. So I asked you if you could help me out via the American site. And I think that's how the world goes wrong. You know, you don't know when you're going to need help off someone. And it didn't cost me any money to help you, so I couldn't see any reason to not help you. And hopefully you weren't out of pocket by helping me. And I think that's how we should do things.
Yeah, I think I agree with that 100%. Yeah, just help out wherever you can.
So we have another night owl. We have a guy who is another Root Master builder. This is all about the plastic model. But it's all the guests are coming in from Root Master. But we have another interesting channel, Chris Davis World. How are you, Chris? I'm going to change the view. So I'm gonna just catch up with the comments just to show how wonderful P40 really is. I don't think he realizes how much of a great viewer he is.
Yeah, because it's all about his hair.
So I will give P40F20 the gold star this week, even though I made the first comment. You have a good day, Lady Penny, with more to come. Dano Builds, hello, Penny again. Looking forward to the show.
Hi, Dano.
Dave, hi, everyone. Should be a good show tonight. David Bassett, good evening again, Penny. Yeah, third stream tonight. Looking forward to your new live stream. I don't know if I am. It's this I keep doing this. I keep doing new shows, and I've got the new show nerves. So Yorkshire Crafter, just want to pop in and say good luck. Sorry, can't stay. Night. I totally understand. This is we're going to probably be hitting the American audience a little bit more than the British audience because of the time of night. Because I'm a night worker or
It's
late
a little after 7 here.
Sorry?
It's only a little after 7 here.
Yeah, so you're actually watching this earlier than the UK viewers would be watching the Route Master show.
Yeah, because it's like nearly 10 past 11 UK.
Yeah.
We'll be back on the same. This weekend is when we do our time change, and we'll be a little closer together again.
Yeah.
Fair enough then. So it'll be a little bit later next week for our American viewers. So Stuart Sullivan says hi. Again, if anyone wants to join us, there is the link. I'll put the link in again in a moment. So Stuart Sullivan, hi P40F20.
Hi Stuart.
Geordie Dave, hi P40F20.
Hey Geordie.
Love this comment. Horlick says, wow, hello P40F20.
Hey Horlick.
See, I can pull in the good guests, can't I? I got Horlicks on the show. I've got P40F20, to name a few.
We all revolve around you, Penny.
Oh, you're too kind to me.
Yeah.
So Stuart Sullivan, Chris, hi. Horlick says, hi, Chris. Steve Tyson says, hello, everybody. And David Bassett says, evening, Chris. So let me just post this link again. So, so if anyone would like to join in the show, just pop that link into your browser. And I'm actually going to get on with someone. Now, is that a Mrs. P40 I can see in the background every now and again?
No, that's actually my daughter.
Okay, fair enough then. I feel awful now. Right, so are you guys working on anything? Or are you just here for the chit chat? Both are welcome.
Yeah.
So this is one I've bought myself.
Oh yeah.
I bought this about a month ago. What I would really like to do, I'll be honest with you, my main passion is aircraft, and more specifically US naval aircraft. And I'd like to start a project doing RAF Lakenheath aircraft. I was born at RAF Lakenheath. My father was a serviceman. I remember an argument we had about what aircraft were based there when I was born. And I said, no, it was F4 Phantoms. And he said it was, is it the F100s, Super Sabres?
Yeah, F100, yeah.
F100, yeah. And actually we were both right, because when I was born, they were phasing out the F100s and phasing in the F4s. But that's another. I'd like to do every aircraft that was ever stationed at RAF Lakenheath, from the short Stirlings right up to the new ones. So is it the F-35s? But a project I would really, really love to do is an aircraft carrier, which I acknowledge for someone who's not done any modelling in a long time is a little bit tricky. So I have been doing some work on a submarine, but I've been doing a lot of research on this. I like the name. USS Hopper was named after is it Grace Hopper? Now, the way I see it, to get an American ship named after you is probably a pretty good feat, isn't it? And the Navy, like most of the armed services, is a bit of a man's thing, isn't it? So if you can get a woman having a ship named after her.
Well, there's women on ships now.
Pardon?
There's women on ships now.
Yes, but to get a ship named after you when you're a woman. So, but a lot of research on this. Apparently it's not a bad kit, and there's lots of photo etch with it. So I think this would be a good one to start on. So this is what I'm going to be doing tonight. If anybody else is doing
one of the hardest things to do, in my opinion.
Pardon?
I think that ships are the hardest thing to do, in my opinion, in terms of getting them.
We will find out, won't we? Because looking at the instructions, now when you get an aircraft, it's usually cockpit, lots and lots to do in the cockpit, paint it all up. Once you've done the cockpit, you're halfway there. This, obviously, you're starting off with the actual the hull, and then you've got all these little tiny bits, and then you do the painting. So yeah, so this is what I'm going to work on today.
A better thing might be to do your work on your hull and get that all painted, because I think that's the way the ship guys do it. And then you start by putting your deck on, then you have to paint some of that, and then building superstructure and painting that, sticking it on. It's not like you. I don't think it would work out really well if you tried to assemble the whole thing and then paint it.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me, because I'm seeing a lot of you've got like the sides of ships is one shade of grey, and then the upper sides are a different shade of grey. So obviously, if you've got the hull, and then you've got to do the top bit a different colour, then you've got overspray, or you've got to do it with a brush. And I mean, part of this exercise is for me to get using an airbrush as well. I've not used the airbrush for a long time, but yeah, we'll see what happens then.
Starting out painting the hull would get your feet wet.
Yes, yeah, I think I'll get everything wet as well. One thing I like about this, it's a simple option for me, but I really like the packaging. Actually, I haven't seen foamy parts before, but you have. I do like. I like to see options, and usually I would have suspected with ships, the option is build it or don't build it. But this, you get the choice of doing a waterline version or the full version. I will be doing the full version. The only disadvantage I see is you've got more risk of seam lines. So we'll see how that one goes. So you're suggesting then that I build this. Where's my instructions gone? So looking at, I should have taken a copy of this. So you're basically saying do this stage 1, get all of this built,
right?
Then paint it up, then start working on these bits.
You probably could also put the deck in too, but yeah, get the hull done. That's what I see most ship modelers do, is get the outside of the hull done and then start working on the deck and all the furnishings.
Right. Okay. Well, that's what I'm going to attempt to do then. So for a change, I'm going to remember to change my glasses. I always forget my glasses. So
is that the Bismarck?
No, I've got the Bismarck, but I'm not going to be working on that for a very long time. I've got the Tirpitz and the Bismarck. I've got some art. See, now this is one thing that's changed for me. When I was a kid, you make a kit, you either go for the cheap kits, and you knew the cheap kits weren't as good quality wise, but if you just wanted to build something, you could build the cheaper kits. If you wanted a much more highly detailed model, you would buy a more expensive version of the kit, which would be better detailed. These days, what you do, most of the kits are really fairly well detailed anyway, but you can then buy aftermarket parts, and that worried me at first, because I'm like, well, yeah, what do I buy the after? If I don't buy the aftermarket parts, and then after I've built it, I then think actually I wanted those aftermarket parts, then it's kind of a bit of a worry. So the Bismarck and the Tirpitz are going to need a lot more research before I actually start on them, and I've researched the aftermarket parts. So I bought a photo etch set, I bought the gun barrels and I've bought the wooden deck for it. It has doubled the cost of the Bismarck and the Tirpitz because of those parts, but I think that's worth it. There's loads and loads. I could probably double the cost again with more parts, but I think at this stage I don't need things like the searchlights and the 3D printed resin, this, that, and the other. But one of the beauties of this kit, I'm told, is that you get a very good kit straight out of the box. So that's why I'm going straight for this one. There are photo etch parts, and I'm excited and scared because most of it's handrails.
Yeah, those are tricky.
Yeah, you know me, I'm up for a challenge. I'll give it a go.
This is also a fairly modern kit, and your Tirpitz and Bismarck date from back in the 70s.
Yes. I've also found out that the actual kits, they were designed for they were designed to pop a motor in,
right,
and then hook it onto the boat and lake. So obviously the detail doesn't need to be so perfect. It needs to be nice. Because obviously when you're down the boat and lake and you know you've got some old men have been doing this for donkey's years, you want them to say to you, wow, that's a really nice ship. So but this I mean, there's a guy, I've forgotten his name now, but there's a rather nice YouTube channel. Is it JD modeling, something like that? And he's actually done a photo etch tutorial using the photo etch from this ship. So, and I did message him and I said, look, you've done the USS Hopper, it looks a really nice kit, I'm buying it. And I explained what level I'm at, and I said, well, look, what kind of photo etch should I want? And he said, to be honest with you, you'd be fine just with a kit out of the box. So we will have another guest in a moment, a guy that I don't think we've seen him before. I will just... Right, so here we have Luke with us. I don't know if he's ready for us. He's on mute and with no picture. I don't know if he's got a video. Doesn't matter if you don't have video, but obviously we would like you to have a mic. So I'll just do a quick chat catch up. So Dano Bill says, Penny, nice USS Hopper. Geordie Dave, I like the F-14, hope to get a model someday. I will be doing the F-14. I absolutely love that aircraft. And when people tell me... Pardon?
That's my favorite jet.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're on my side on there. I've had a few guys in shops that have tried to tell me it's a terrible aircraft, and I just stick my
baby.
No, I just stick my fingers in my ears and I go la 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 la, not listening to you. So hello, Luke. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Would you like to say a little bit about yourself?
I'm Luke anyway.
So hi, Luke. So are you building or are you just coming in part of the show?
I'm just coming in, seeing what you're up to and joining what you're up to.
That's absolutely fine. Now, do not expect to become a perfect modeler by watching me. It's just really designed as a bit of a chat room, really. Just come in and have a bit of fun. And, yeah, hopefully it will go well.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I do a bit of plastic models and stuff.
Yeah. Have you got any themes or any favourites?
I've got the lifeboat. One of the lifeboats. I'm wanting to start.
That sounds fun.
The Bismarck as well.
What am I getting myself in too deep then by doing the Bismarck? Right, what I'm going to do first is a little test. some people laugh at me for this, but
Is the other old man from America?
sorry, say that again. Right, so what I'm going to be doing first is I just cut a couple of bits of sprue off, and I'm just going to glue them together, and that's just going to, my glue, I use Plastic Magic, which is generally a really good glue, but I know when I used to do figure painting, some of the glues didn't really work too well with some of the plastics.
You were getting Tammy extra thin.
Yeah, do you know what? I've heard of that, and I see that most people seem to use it. But I've had this bottle for ages, and I came across this from a local shop, and the guy had said to me, he goes, "I've just had this come in." There you go, that's fine. He said, "I've just had this come in." He goes, "I've got no idea if it's any good. The rep came me a couple of bottles." He said, "Yeah, I'll take a bottle and then see if it's any good." So I got this for free, and I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But don't laugh at me. Up until this point, I've never used an extra thin polystyrene cement with a brush before. So I've never done.
They also make this one, which is a thicker one. It's their regular cement in addition to the extra thin.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I might give Tammy an extra thin a try one day.
Yeah, I've got extra thin.
Yeah, I think it is the modeler's choice, wasn't it? But I really love Plastic Magic. So right, and you guys have made me really nervous now because everyone on my stream is so much better than me at this. But yeah, this is, like I say, this is my first ship kit. So
Sorry, but where did you get the model from?
I got this from, let me check, E-Models.
Say that.
E-Models. What I did, I'm trying to find the keyboard so I can give you a link. So what I'd done was I found this kit. I used a website called Scalemates an awful lot. And there we go. Right. I didn't realize E-models aren't always the cheapest. Let me do a share screen with you. So I came across this site, Scalemates, and I don't know how I'd come across this actual kit, but I found it on Scalemates, and there we go. So there's my kit. And it's great because it tells you so much about the kit. You can upload it, and you can find out so much about it before you even buy it. We've even got the product timeline. But you have this marketplace, and it tells you where you can buy it. Now, obviously, I'm in England, so I'm looking for the pound sign. And then all you need to do is click on the view, and there it is. Bang, it was bought. It wasn't out of stock, obviously, when I bought it. And obviously, you've got all of this, and you've got all this is what confused me. You see, at first, you've got all of these aftermarket parts, and you can turn it into, for example, the John S. McCain, because they're obviously all the same class. But to be honest with you, Scalemates is my first port of call now for anything. Because also, if you look, if you put the kit name and the scale, I mean, there's only one 350 scale USS Hopper. But if you had, let's find a common aircraft, Spitfire. So if you want a Spitfire kit in 1/72 scale, you can see there's an awful lot of choice. but this enables you to cut things down. So let's look. Tell you what, let's go really predictable, shall we? We'll look for Spitfire Mark 1 in 1:48 scale. Where are we? A more modern kit. And then you start to narrow things down, and you get to start to look at you start to look at, you know, the one that you actually want. So again, this one, I bought this kit for because we're doing the Hachette build a Spitfire. I got this one. The only reason I got this one, funnily enough, there we go. I found the decals for it. So rather than getting the kit and then getting the decals for the kit, I've actually bought the kit for the decals. But that's, as I say, that's because of another project that we're doing. But yeah, so E-models, I got that one. But if I'm actually looking for a kit, I quite like Hannants. Hannants, I've been told a lot of people rate Hannants as good customer service. The only time I've ever rung them, the guy was almost useless, to be honest with you. But they have a lot of stock, and they have products that you can't get in other places. So if you know what you're going to buy and then you just want to click and pay, then Hannants is a good choice, in my opinion. So I'm just going to do some dry fitting here, which is not liking me now. So Chris, are we persuading you to get into plastic models now?
I think that's what I may do, I don't know.
You know, I might. I'm having a bit of struggle. I know I haven't sanded the pieces down, but that's a bit of an awkward fit. So would you recommend perhaps if I put the deck on first?
You might have better control of it that way, yeah.
Then I can access it from underneath if I need to.
Go in from underneath and keep it clean on top.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's going to need a little bit of sanding and filing, but yeah.
Yeah, you probably got some sprue nubs that you need to take off.
Yeah, but it's going to fit. So at least, you know, it's past the dry fit stage. Oh, and another trick I learned, you know, when sometimes you pick up small tricks that you once you realize the trick, you're like, wow, that's so simple. Why did I never think of that? I'm probably one of hundreds of people. I struggle with the letter of the kit. So like the part for this is P34, F2, F12. So obviously the F refers to the sprue that it comes off. Now that's quite hard to see, isn't it?
Yeah, they can be. Some kits are coming out nowadays where they actually have the letters hollow, so they're a little easier to see.
Yeah, well, here's a little trick I learned. And if you don't already know the trick, you're going to go, wow, that's stupidly simple. So a little bit of masking tape, which is stuck to my fingers. That's a bit easier to read, isn't it?
That's easier. The other thing you could have done was just take some paint and dry brush it over the letter on the.
I've tried that, and it doesn't always work for me. But yeah, that is a good idea. So that's a B sprue, and I've lost the rest of my kit because I put it safely behind me. Right, I'm really tempted to make up the stand as well.
Well, that's a good idea because then you have something to rest the hull on.
Yes. So I think what I'll do then is I will make up the deck and possibly the hull, and then I'll work on the stand. and then that will give everything plenty of time to dry, cure, whatever the word is. So David Bassett is saying he hasn't made a plastic model kit for 50 years since I was 13. It's not been 50 years since I was 13, but yeah. I think we're on a similar. I think I was a kid. I was definitely living at home last time I made a plastic kit. And you know, I love what I do. I love I mean, mostly I'm doing part works, and I do love doing my part works. But I'm now starting to get to the stage where I'm thinking, you know, I want to do a little bit more. I want to do something a little bit different. I've got skills that I've learned from other hobbies, which do transfer over. And like, I know P40 is the same, but we're modifying the Spitfire just a little bit, just to make it look a little bit more realistic. Yeah. And you know, that's all skills that we would have learned from doing scale model kits. And one thing I'd love to do is get it. People say, oh, that's really good. And yeah, it's very flattering, but would you agree with me, P40? Some of these skills aren't that difficult. It's more learning the technique rather than having the skills to do it.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, that's about it. Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah.
Do you reckon part work is expensive for what it is?
Say that again, Luke.
Do you reckon part works is expensive for what it is?
That's a yes and no question, really, because you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And you're getting a large model. If someone was advertising a 1:72 scale Spitfire over 120 weeks at £10 an issue, then yeah, there's no way I'd go for that. But let me just show you this.
There is a lot of other ways to do it cheaper, isn't there? If you know how to do it.
This is the wingspan of the Spitfire.
Oh, you done the Spitfire, do I?
Yeah, and it's a massive build, and yes, it's going to cost about £1,200.
Yeah, I'm doing the Mark London bus.
Yeah,
and like with any of these part works, it's like they do some things brilliantly, and other things it's like you're scratching your head. Why did you do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't find fault with the bus. I don't think there's any area that's disappointed me. There are areas I didn't enjoy as much, but they're a necessary evil. Like I mentioned today about the wheels. You know, the bus has got 6 wheels. You've got to build 6 wheels. I didn't enjoy that bit so much, but once the wheels were done, it's like, well, hey, I can get on with other stuff. But
what, the London bus had 6 wheels, did it?
Yes.
In real life. How come they put 4 then?
They've got 6. They
I
do have 6. You've got 2 at the front, 1 left, 1 right, and then you've got 1 axle at the back with an inner and an outer wheel on each side. So
yeah, they don't like on out, do they?
Right, let's actually turn this in the orientation of the instructions.
Now you still get parts for the London bus, or not?
Do you know what? I found out today they're getting harder and harder to get hold of.
Are they?
Well, it should be getting easier because I think your Gora Models is going to start selling the Hachette Routemaster worldwide.
Do we know that for fact, though?
Well, they brought out the Terminator. They're bringing out the Bismarck.
Yes.
So I believe that, you know, Hachette evidently doesn't want to deal with whatever problems there are with selling worldwide.
Yeah,
so
I think the
send
problem
it to Agora and they'll do it.
Yeah, let them deal with the problems. I had an emery stick once that's disappeared.
From America, then? You sound American.
Yes, I am.
What part?
I live in Ohio, if you know where that is. The start of the Midwest.
I've got some family who just married American man, and she's just moved into one of the rich areas. What's it called? Connecticut.
Connecticut?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in the Northeast.
Cool. Not been yet. Hoping to go to America next year or so if it's safe.
Well, it's worth a visit, anyways. I was over to England back in 1994.
What, in the UK?
Yeah, in the UK, I was took a bus tour with my wife, and we started out in London, then we went to Stonehenge, to Bath, we went to Wales, we went to Edinburgh in Scotland. A big circle tour. It was nice.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of Americans over in Britain. Is it because
they do appear
to the UK then?
Well, back when my wife and I went, she had wanted to go on a cruise to Alaska, and I looked in the paper and I said, we could go over to England, cheaper than taking the Alaska cruise. So that's what we did.
Yeah, I see a lot of Americans go to places like Cornwall because of the program of they're a big fan of Doc Martin.
Yeah, I think that depends on what you like, doesn't it? I mean, equally, you'd probably say you see a lot of Americans in Manchester because of Coronation Street, or Cardiff because of Doctor Who. Yeah. Why anyone would want to go to Cardiff, I don't know. It's a lovely place.
Britain is a dump.
Thing is, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to say Norfolk was a terrible place. It was so boring. But you got to remember that I walked around Norfolk all the time, and I didn't. You spend most of your life working rather than leisuring, don't you? So it's when you see something every day, I think you can start to underappreciate it. And it wasn't until I moved away. I lived in Bristol for 5 years, and I really didn't like Bristol. But every time someone said why, I said, to be honest with you, I really don't know. And then I popped home to see some family, and it suddenly dawned on me the only reason I didn't like Bristol was because it wasn't Norwich. As simple as that. And I moved back to Norfolk, and I think by having that break away from Norfolk, it really given me a chance to miss it. So, you know what? That's a much better fit now. Now that I've placed that in, it's pushed the hull away. But I still like the idea of sticking the deck on first.
I'm from East Midlands. Anyway, I'm in Derby.
Derby. I used to drive a bus in close to Derbyshire anyway.
Oh yeah.
In Sheffield.
Oh yeah.
Right. So.
What type of bus was it?
Pardon?
What type of bus was it?
It was a Volvo B10. It was the 97 route from it was in Sheffield, and we also had another route. I can't remember the number now. It was 20 years ago, and we used to go to a place called Dore, and we had another one that used to go to Bakewell.
Did you say Dore?
Dore, D-O-R-E.
I've never heard of it. Where's that?
It's on the outskirts of Sheffield.
All right. That's
but
fine then. I don't do Sheffield.
And we used to walk the dogs on the Yorkshire moors, and we used to sort of joke and say, because you had the was it Fred and Rosemary West who killed those kids and buried them in the moors? Or someone anyway. And we always said, oh, wouldn't it be really great if we could find that missing child and we'd be world famous? We never did. Right. Little bit of gap filling, I think, for me there.
What time is it in America, mate?
What was that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, what time is it in America?
Right now it's 15 minutes to 8 o'clock.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've got, so it's the evening for you then.
Yeah, there's normally there's 5 hours difference between where you are and where I am, but we haven't done the time change yet, so it's 6 hours this week.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, a friend of mine confused me with that one. Because I just, at the time, I assumed everybody all went backwards and forwards. Well, I think Australia, they go forwards when we go back. And yeah, that throws everything out for me. But yeah, I didn't realise different countries went back at different times.
Well, it's man-made, isn't it? Clock changing. It's not meant to be, is it? Clock change.
So it's not.
I want to bother changing the
I think these decks are made on a screw with another deck, and then split off, and one goes into one kit and goes into another. Because you've only got screw points on one side. Oh, who's that with the interference? Bet that's you, isn't it, Chris?
Mine's off.
Choosy, you, Chris.
What type of things do you do then, Chris?
Pardon?
What type of things do you do?
I do the root master, I do the
Your microphone's a bit crackly.
well, mine.
Couldn't hear you.
Finally it stopped.
Yeah, it gets. This is the only. It's great fun having lots of people on the stream, but it does cause a few problems.
What's his name?
Say that again, Leo.
Say that again, sorry, Chris.
Yeah, I do a lot of things on my channel as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris mainly does the Root Master build.
Yeah. That's just about the same time as you, I think.
Yeah, we actually met by well, Chris asked me for some help, which I was happy to give, and then as we as we chatted a bit more, we found out that we didn't actually live too far away from each other at the time. I lived in Newport,
Yeah.
and Chris lives Swansea. Which,
Yeah, but
not quite Swansea, but yeah, if I say your village, a lot of people are going to go, where's that? So, and it's basically what, 3/4 of an hour on the train, and then about half an hour on a bus.
How far are you?
Yeah.
How far are you from Hayling Island?
Say that again.
So I went on a holiday, a little camp, many like 20 odd years ago, and it's apparently it's not there now. It's called Hayling Island, I think.
Okay.
Does that ring a bell to you lot?
No.
No, not for me.
What by Anglesey, I think, or maybe not.
Anglesey, isn't that North Wales?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have anything to do with the North Wales.
No, I've been in North Wales before, but that's why. bought a jigsaw puzzle as well. I have for myself, which is good.
Sorry, guys, I have a habit of not looking at the camera. I don't know if I'm still in shot.
You're in.
You are.
Okay. And P40F20 hasn't shouted at me yet, so I assume I'm not doing too bad.
No, not bad at all. I'm no ship expert, anyways.
Well, I mean, I've got 3 kits ready to bring on in case I run out of things to do. But I've got a sea. I keep wanting to call it a sea king, not a sea king, a sea hawk.
Okay.
I bought that was my first kit I bought. I went down to the shop and I said, I want a little kit that I can do. I'm not going to do it on YouTube or anything. It's going to be my little personal project. I haven't built kits for a long time. It'll be nice if it comes out nice, but if it comes out bad, I'll just chuck it in the bin, and I'm really not bothered. So he showed me some kits. I found this Seahawk. I thought, great. Again, if I muck it all up, I'll just chuck it in the bin. £20 it cost me. But if it comes out really well, it'll be the first one in my US Navy collection. And it's coming out. It's okay. It's not a brilliant kit. Some of the parts don't fit too well.
What's the manufacturer?
Italiari.
Oh yeah, their kits are not the best.
Yes, I noticed that, and I kind of got fooled by the name. Well, it was a cheap kit. You know, what do you expect for £20 when the going rate for 1 to 48 aircraft is about 40 or 50 pounds? You know, it was half the price of another kit. You know, if you get a kit that's, you know, better than half as good, you've got a bit of a bonus. But then you've got the challenge then of putting the parts together and making them fit. So yeah, a little bit of a challenge there. So
What do you do with all your models when you make them?
I've not completed any this time around. But when I was a kid, I used to have them. It depends whether it was a jet or a propeller. But propellers I would put on the ground, you know, on the worktop or something. Jets I would probably have a bit of cotton off the ceiling and have them hanging. I don't like propeller driven aircraft hanging off the ceiling. But then I could have perhaps learned how to do you can do like the clear discs, can't you?
Yeah, the clear discs, and then there's some photo etch. I don't know if it's still available anymore, but called prop blur.
Okay.
And it's, you know, depending on how many blades are on your prop, you know, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, and you get, you know, 3, 4, or 5 pieces of photo etch that would look like the blur of a spinning prop, and then you would paint them and to give the illusion that the engine is running.
Yes, I've seen that before, and it looks fantastic. I am slightly falling into the trap of, well, actually, that looks easy. It's not. Usually when I say that, it's not easy. It's just the guy that I've seen do it is very good at it. I saw a video the other week about, I think it's a guy called Scalaton, and he did a ship diorama, and you had the ship coming, but he also did a that's right, it was he did a submarine that's bursting up through the surface. He's got all of this resin everywhere, and he's got mixing cotton wool with resin to make like waves breaking, and he makes it look so easy that you just want to go out and buy some resin and give it a go. And I'm like, whoa, steady on, Penny. It's not going to be as easy as he makes it look.
Another good guy to watch. He just calls himself QDC, and he mostly builds armor, and but he always builds a diorama, and the stuff he does looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, it looks easier than it probably is.
Yes. I mean, there was one. Have you ever seen the tank? The tank that's had its turret blown off. And he's got LED lights in there and cotton wool, and it really does look like the turret's been the turret's like 90 degrees in the air to the tank, and it looks like it's been blown off. And I know that's difficult because I know from I can, to a degree, I can paint fire, and I know fire is difficult to paint, and you really have to understand fire before you can paint it. And because fire is the opposite principles of painting. You normally go from dark to light, but with fire you go complete opposite. So you're actually highlighting with darker colors. And once you get that concept, it's a lot easier. So this guy doing LEDs with fire explosions, yeah, he's got a grasp of fire. Right, okay, it's taken me a while, but I'm getting there with this deck.
Do you do also trains? Are you into model trains and stuff?
I've got a bit of a naughty secret. And most people know anyway. I'm about to restart doing a part work Flying Scotsman. It's an old part work. Judging by the price, it's probably about 10 years old. And I'm restarting that. So anyone who's watching has just listened to that. Shh, it's a secret.
Yeah, and that's a part work that's not for everybody.
Yes. Well, you're going to laugh at this. I might have failed before I started. So when I did it the first time around, as per the instructions, I'm gluing these brass parts together. And a few people, someone in particular, I can't remember who now, said, "Oh, you really want to solder those together?"
That was me.
That was you, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a lot to answer for. No, right. So
I remember
the first issue, you get a little piece of brass, one little piece that you to practice on. And are you ready for this? Don't judge me. This is my first attempt at soldering brass together.
Well, it's soldered. Oh my.
Yes.
Oh.
But I have learned something from that, so I am not ashamed of that. What I have learned is that you do not use ordinary solder. I thought that was low melt solder. When you go on to Amazon and you type in low melt solder, you don't always get low melt solder. So I've read the descriptions better, and I've now bought some new solder. So I've got some more solder coming. So I don't know whether to do one video or two video on what I call issue 0. But in actual fact, I did glue a piece onto there with Gorilla Glue, and it was actually stronger bond than my solder.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's not because the glue was good. It is good glue. It's that Gorilla Glue.
Yeah, it is.
But it was because the solder joint was so poor. That's why it was better.
You did use flux, didn't you?
Yes, I used tons of flux.
Ah.
The flux just kept burning off immediately. But what I found out from that experience is that you need to get the piece of brass hotter than the melting point of the solder. So if you've got solder that melts at 400 degrees, you need to get the brass to 450 degrees. So if you use solder that melts at 150 degrees, you're going to make the job easier. Luke, you want to show us something?
You like that train?
That looks like a train. That's very nice. That's the old Intercity 125s, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Been on one of those many a time. Beautiful. So you're a railway modeler, are you?
I'm into it because my dad,
Right.
he's American as well.
Yeah.
He's the American and Canadian side. So he bought lots of the big scale of trains, HP scale
Yeah.
of American trains, and he had when he was younger, he had N scale also of Europe.
Yeah.
He had the best stuff, not just Horn. He didn't like Hornby because as you know why Hornby he didn't get Hornby.
Okay.
See,
I got to admit, my knowledge of railways, I would go for Hornby first because obviously that's the name that I know.
Yeah.
And I kind of go on the theory that if they weren't any good, they wouldn't be in business long, would they? I think quite often you get like the popular companies, and then you get the really specialist ones, don't you? A good example of that was with the kits. Airfix is one of the most popular ones, isn't it? But they're not necessarily the best kits.
Stuff they've been coming out in the last 20 years has been really good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Hornby owns them now.
Yeah, I think with Airfix, I think they kind of got themselves in a position where someone said, look, we need to get better or we're going to just disappear.
Yeah, they were still churning out kits that they had come out with back in the 50s and 60s, and they were getting really long in the tooth.
But a lot of people were going, we don't want these kits. We want good kits. And then there were companies that were able to provide good kits. People weren't buying the poorer kits. Poorer kits are absolutely fine if you're 10 years old. I'm really struggling with this little piece. It doesn't want to fit. I'm really having a fit problem here, so I think I'm just going to go for it. And then as I push one bit, it forces another back somewhere else. So I think I'm just...
Sorry to put in. Yeah, I'm selling my dad's trains at the moment. Bit in auction.
Okay, well, on eBay.
My dad passed away 5 years ago.
Oh, bless.
Sad. He never built his railway.
Yeah. Right. Sorry. I do apologise, David. Right. I'm going to massive catch up. I'm so sorry. I've got away from everything we were doing. So, P40F20. Which part works are you doing?
Well, I started off actually with the D'Agostini's R2D2, and I had also gotten a subscription for the Millennium Falcon for my son. And then I got interested in the Natter, and I'm doing the Spitfire.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the from Eagle Moss, I'm doing the Ecto 1 and the Aston Martin DB5.
Nice.
And then from D'Agostini, and I wish I wouldn't have started this one at all, I'm doing the X-Wing fighter, and I'm really disappointed in it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the X-Wing, that it's really well detailed, and then you hide the detail.
Yeah, they were just making parts to give you parts.
Yeah. Sorry, just bear with me.
Away.
Luke, I've established that your mic is giving some feedback. Is there anything you can do about it? Luke?
Yeah, sorry, what's that?
That's right. I think we're getting feedback from your mic. Is there anything that can be done about it? What I do, and you might have noticed it, if I'm hearing feedback, what I'll do is while someone else is talking, I'll hit someone on, I'll pop someone on to mute, and then see if it makes a difference, and then I'll just pop someone else on mute. And I thought it was actually Chris, but I think it's you. But that sounds a lot better. Right.
Yeah,
so
I switched to my headphones just in case I was getting feedback.
Yeah.
And that didn't seem to fix it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, that X-Wing, I've heard. I mean, it's a good. It seems to be a good model. There's no problems with it, but it's just that you're hiding all the detail.
Well, there are other problems, and it may be due to they just got a really bad batch of circuit boards. Because, the circuit boards for the R2D2 were very complicated. The wiring was complicated, but I put the whole thing together, and it worked like a champ.
Okay.
Now with the X-Wing, a few months back, we finally got the circuit boards for that. And as you do, as completing an LED or a motor or something, test it with the battery box that they give you, and everything worked. Well, I plugged everything into the circuit board, and then they give you a remote to actually operate all the functions. Nothing happened. It was totally dead. So then I went back to him and I said, hey, the boards and the remote or the model are bad. Could you send me some new ones? And finally, after 3 months, they did send me some new ones. They didn't work any better than the original ones. Now I'm waiting again for boards. I just kind of almost feel like taking the whole thing and throwing it in the dumpster.
Yeah. I don't think you're the first person I've heard complaining about that.
They must have had to run bad boards. I've seen on the builders groups that there is a definite fault in the actual remote, and I tried repairing one of the boards for that, and it didn't help.
Yeah. So David has said P40. I already know the answer to this. P40F20 Merlin engine.
Yes, the F model and also the L model had Merlin engines, though they were not high altitude Merlins. They were low altitude Merlins, so they didn't improve the performance of the P40 any better than it was.
Right. And then he says RAF Kitty Hawk 2.
What's that?
I assume that's a question.
Yeah, the original Kitty Hawk for the RAF was the P40B. I think the Kitty Hawk 2, and I'm speaking off the top of my head, so I could be wrong, would be the E model, and those had Allison engines.
Wow, your knowledge is amazing. So Geordie Dave says I visited the States in 1981. David Bassett spent a whole month traveling across USA by coach back in 89. 4,354 miles starting in New York City.
I've been there.
That's a few miles, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of like when I was in England back in '94. We did a circle tour around the whole island.
Yeah. Would you do it again?
Yeah, I would. I really enjoyed it, and and I'd like to see the museums there. The only thing I got to see on that bus trip was a Harrier on a hard stand next to the highway. That was about it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I have made a cock-up.
What's the best train route in America to go?
That I don't know. I'm not that much into trains, and all I know is it's a government-run company called Amtrak that does all the train service. But it's
I know. You say Amtrak.
Amtrak, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
So do they?
They're the big famous one, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
So you said it's government run, so that's a little bit like our old British Rail then, is it? Before it got privatised.
Bombardier.
Yeah. Right. A lot of Americans come to Oxfordshire, Buckinghamshire because of Morse and Midsummer Melody. And I suspect some of them come because it's such a beautiful area. I certainly enjoyed living around that way. Christine says, "Hi Penny, I'm still awake, so decided to drink for a while. P40F20, great to see you on a stream. Hello, Chris and Luke."
Hi, Christine. I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah. Geordie Dave, I was there for a month, stayed on a US Air Force base. My aunt married an American Air Forceman. See, it's good to have perks, isn't it? Geordie Dave, getting a lot of feedback. Yeah, we're trying to sort that one out. David Bassett says, "Love your bird, P40F20."
I used to have two, but unfortunately the one died about a month or so back. He hurt his leg.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
And then David asked, "What's your pet bird's name?"
My pet bird's name is Deborah,
Oh,
named after my best friend.
oh. David Bassett, Hailing Island is in Sussex, not far from Pitstop and east and west Wittering.
Oh, okay.
David Bassett, Luke, if it was in Wales, was it the bottom of Barry Island? That I know.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows Barry Island, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Barry is known as Barry Badoff, isn't it?
Yeah. Governor
So Johnny Dave's off to bed, is up early tomorrow. Good night. We'll watch it. Take care, Geordie. I know I probably missed you. Paulix really enjoying the show. Needs to go sleep. He's now ready for work tomorrow. Yeah. David Bassett, a Canadian company, Rapido, makes some good model HO planes. Also have made a 1-76 scale British bus model of a Guy Arab. Do you know anything about that, P40?
No, I'm afraid I don't. I've heard of Rapido, but a Guy Arab bus, that definitely goes outside what I know.
Yeah. And then David Bassett, Union Pacific have restored a big boy steam engine.
Yeah, they've got a lot of videos on YouTube about that.
Yeah. I watch a channel called, sorry Luke, I apologize. Can I ask you to just pop yourself on mute because we're getting a lot of feedback. You're more than welcome to come in and unmute yourself when you come in. But it's just, I do apologize, Luke.
Sorry,
yeah.
but that's so much better.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, Luke. I mean, I'm not excluding you. You're more than welcome to join in. But obviously, when you're not talking, if you just mute it, just to stop the feedback, and then we'll sort something out. You know, we'll figure out what's happening. I watch. I started off watching a channel called Today I Found Out. It's hosted by a chap called Simon Whistler. And he's got other channels as well. And one of his channels he does is mega projects. and he's got a video on the big boy, and he does some really good. You can see that they're well researched videos.
Yeah, I've watched a few of those. I haven't watched the big boy one yet.
Yeah, it's I like it because it's something interesting that really doesn't have much relevance to everyday life. I was watching one the other day. Obviously, everyone's heard of Hermann Goering. Did you know that his brother helped Jews to escape?
Yeah, I'd heard about that a little bit.
Yeah. And it was just the way he said it. There was this one instance where he drove up. He just drove up to a concentration camp with an army truck. And then he says, yeah, I'm Hermann Goering's brother. I need a load of Jews for slave labor. So they went, yeah, fine. Yeah, loaded them all up in the truck. And then off he went in the truck and set them all free. And I just thought that I love stuff like that. And it's, yeah, it doesn't help me in my everyday life, but it's fun to know, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some good people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So I made a cock up already.
What'd you do?
Right. So I've stuck the hole together.
Okay.
There's a few little issues which I can sort out, but I kind of got this bit here. Make a
hole.
Yeah.
Oops.
Now, yeah. Yeah.
Well, you can still get at it. It looks like.
Yeah. It's tricky. I'm certainly not going to get there from the bottom. So the only thing I'm going to have to do to salvage this. So we have learned something today, haven't we? Read the instructions.
Yep.
So I think I actually do have. I treated myself to this the other week, and you'll love this. I do have a good pin vise handsaw, whatever you want to call it.
Pin vise.
The Citadel one, and it is very good, and it's unique. So I did have one break. My first one broke on me, and I'd mentioned it in the store, not for any reason. I think the guy had said to me, "Oh, have you got a drill?" And I went, "No, I had one, but it broke." And he went, "Really?" And he went, "That's one of ours." And I went, "Yeah." He went, "Give it here." And he just took it off me and he gave me a brand new one. And I thought,
well,
right,
that was nice of him.
Yeah. I said, but I didn't get it from your store. He goes, doesn't matter. He goes, our products, our quality. So therefore it can't be your fault. But I treated myself to this one mainly because it came with about 50 drill bits, ranging from 0.2 mil up to 3 mil. There is only one problem with it, though. Can you tell which one is which?
No.
Oh, it didn't come with like a holder or something?
No, that's exactly. In fact, this is exactly how the entire package came.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. This actually is, it's pushing on the small side for my hand, but it's actually not a bad, it's actually not a bad little drill. This is better. And if you've got large hands, forget this.
Is that a Dremel?
Is this what?
A Dremel drill?
No, it's not a Dremel. It's just a little hand drill.
Yes.
When you want to drill holes in plastic, the electric drill is just far too fast, and you end up melting it. I've seen some people just use just the drill bit, but obviously this is a way to handle a drill bit, and obviously we're dealing with small bits. So yeah, I decided to go with this one, and I really haven't looked back because you can only get one at a time. I can never remember how to open this. Yeah, there we go. So you can only get one drill out at a time, and they've all got the sizes written on them, and you position it to. There we go. It's because I push the bottom as well as the top. So I need, for example, a 0.8. So I move it to there, out it comes, and then when I've finished, I can put it back, and then as long as I slide it down, none of those are falling out. And I don't know if that's a good brand or not, but I'm happy.
Well, as you're just going into plastic, it doesn't really make that much difference.
And the other good thing about this is it's got two sizes of the hole, but it's in one collar. So you can just turn it around. It saves you losing.
There might be another one of those collets underneath the other end. Because I've got two that are very similar to that, and it actually comes with two collets, so you have 4 different sizes. Nope, doesn't look like it, I guess.
Do you know what? I knew there was something secret about it. Yeah, I remember now. It has a spare thing inside. That would probably saying that this is too. Yeah, that's no good for this one.
Another thing you might look into getting is Tamiya makes, and it's actually a model kit you put together, but they make what they call a handy drill, and it turns very slow, so it's good for plastic.
Right. Okay.
Matter of fact, do I have it handy here? No, I don't. Yeah. A lot of times when it comes to opening up holes like that, I just take my X-Acto knife and twiddle it around in there and open it up that way.
Yeah, I've done that before, but the reason I'm specifically that I'm drilling is I'm having to guess where the holes are, but they're specifying the size of the hole.
You could shine a light from underneath, and then you could see them better.
Oh, I never thought of that one. Actually, I don't think there is actually a score mark underneath. I think I had to just figure out where it is. But yeah, because they're specifying the sizes and 1, I'm assuming that is for a reason. So yeah, that's why I've done it. So
well, that's probably so to make sure that you get the hole the right diameter, you know, and it's good if you're not experienced in making holes. But yeah, if you shine a light from underneath, you'll be able to see where the indent is if they have one there.
Yes, I have a trick as well. I'm going to use the mobile phone. I've seen quite a few modelers when they are when they're masking. No, there's no hole there. The only holes I can see are, oh, hang on, there are some. No, they are actually holes. There's only where there's a hole. So, but no, I've seen when people are masking canopies, and they do it like this with a mobile phone. And you look at it, and you think, what a wonderful idea. Oh, there are. Yeah, there's a hole there.
Yeah, because the plastic's a little thinner, so you can see it.
Yeah, there's a hole there, but it's asking me to. I'm just checking my facts. Yeah, it's asking me to put a hole round about there, but I can see a hole there. So I can only assume that the reason for that hole is for a different ship of the same class, because this is an Arleigh Burke class ship.
Yeah, that's probably part of the reason. Sometimes, especially a lot of times with aircraft, they have you open up holes, and it's like, why did you have these plugged up in the first place?
Yes, yeah. On my Seahawk, I don't know if I still have it. No. On the floor, there's it's about 20 different holes on the bottom, and you need to drill out about 5 of them. And it's I assume it's all to do with different Mark A's, Mark B's, and
Yeah. That's sort of like Airfix with their Sea King kit. There's all kinds of different holes that have to be opened up in that, depending on which marking option you pick.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, because they've got about 20 odd versions of that, haven't they?
Yeah.
In real life. Right. So. One there. But I'm definitely going to use your little. Oh. There. And then there. So I'm going to use your mobile phone, well, your light trick, because there was a hole there that you don't drill out. Oh, bingo. Got one there.
I see it.
That is my hole that I want to drill out.
Excuse me for just a moment. I have to take a little trip to the restroom.
That's fine. Well, what I'm going to do is when you come back, I'm going to have my turn at the restroom. Oh, and there's another one. Look.
That's good, isn't it?
Oh. Yeah, that's one of those tricks that I would have kind of known, but I probably would have figured, I would have remembered to use the trick after the event.
Is your phone rainbow colours there?
Sorry, say that again, Chris.
Your phone looks like a rainbow colour now.
Yeah, it's the light bouncing off.
You've got like, that's really cool. That.
Yeah, it's no, it's all right. I think I've had this phone now for pushing a year.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting it to start to die and fail on me. You know how phone goes. I'm convinced that they have this little program on that says, right, okay, the phone's now a year and a half, so we're going to make the battery slowly die.
Yeah.
So that they have to buy a new phone. Right. So I'm going to be extremely rude, and I'm going to disappear for a couple of minutes as well. This takes me back to the time when I did a 24-hour stream. And that was fun. That really was fun. I got towards the end of the stream though, and I hated everything I was doing, and I lost interest. And
yeah, that's
what lack of sleep does to you. But yeah, it was fun.
Well, you'll have to sleep tomorrow while you're driving the bus.
No, I work late.
So,
this is why I figured this like this, because I'll go to bed as soon as the stream is finished, which for me will be about 2 a.m. Or I was saying that I'll finish it early if there's lack of interest. But going to bed at 2, I can then get up about 10 o'clock. And I start work. I don't know what time I actually start tomorrow, but I know it's late. 3 o'clock in the afternoon I start. So we're, a lot of people are saying, oh, take care, Penny, I've got to go to bed. Me finishing this one at 2 o'clock, that's not really very unusual for me, because that's what time I go bed anyway.
Well, that's about the same for me, but then I'm retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, right. I've just set my 1 mil thing up, just ready. Oh, good. And this has also got the hexagon on the end.
Yeah.
Such a sim. I'm sure there might be another reason for this on the end, but it does stop it from rolling away. Right, guys. So, yeah, I do apologize. I'm just going to take a quick toilet break. I'll be back very shortly.
Already. We seem to have lost Luke.
Yeah, Luke said about it might have been his fish tank causing.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
But I didn't hear him say goodbye, and I don't know. I'm hoping we didn't upset him by muting him. So if you're still watching, Luke, I apologize if we've upset you. It certainly wasn't the intention. So I'll catch up on the comments when I come back. But you're welcome to address them now if you want, anyway.
Yeah, no worries. So how are you doing, P40?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, because you've been on my channel quite a bit, haven't you?
Have you done anything more with your Jaguar?
Not yet. What I'm trying to do is concentrate on the bus for first. Then jack back on stream. I've got the Echo as well.
Mm-hmm. Were you able to get your electric sorted out on the bus? I seem to remember you were having trouble with that.
No, I haven't yet. Just struggling because it's just not easy.
Well, one thing that you can do that can make it just a tiny bit easier, they have you mount that circuit board in that cubby hole early on. You can take it back out. Then you can more easily plug and unplug the wires and see the writing on the board, because that's probably really hard for you.
That is, yeah. That's why I'm done. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, but that's the tip I've used, which is good.
Yeah, if you take the board out of the bus, you can get it back in again. Because I was getting frustrated with mine, so I unscrewed it, took it out, got all the wires plugged in. It made it a lot easier.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see you on Monday though. You was away or something, was you? Or?
I was trying to find the stream and I couldn't find it, and I thought that perhaps you had decided not to do it. So that's why I wasn't.
I posted the stream on the Root Matter group, say. And I couldn't as well. So yeah, if have you got the notification bell turned on? You too.
I didn't quite get that, Chris.
Have you got the bell turned on YouTube? You do the notifications. The bell.
Right, I have hit that, and what I've noticed, I don't know if it's true for anyone else, is that YouTube doesn't send out the emails anymore, and I didn't see a notification in the list on YouTube itself, and so I just thought maybe you didn't do it, so that's why I wasn't there. Otherwise, I would have watched. Yeah.
Just if you could get a link or something, just keep an eye on the Root Master group or the Jag. You'll be there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I always post a link up, see, every week before it goes up. I post it before I go live, see, in advance.
I must have just missed it. Otherwise, I would have been there to watch. Yeah.
No, cool. Yeah, you've been an absolutely legend, mate. You've been good. So the people have off stuff off my wish list, which is good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I find your show entertaining.
When?
I say I find your show entertaining, so yeah, a little payback.
Yeah, me and Chris have got that. Me and Chris have got that banter. See, that's what makes it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, because me and Chris Kaplan, yeah.
Oh.
How you making out with the Ecto 1, Chris?
I haven't started it yet. I've got absolutely issue 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When I got the subscription for the Millennium Falcon for my son, what he decided to do was wait until he got all of the issues, and then he built
it. Yeah.
I don't know how anyone's got that much patience.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, as soon as my stuff comes, it's like it's out of the package and I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's how I want to be.
Yeah.
When I get a pack, I film all of it, and then I edit the videos later. I don't do one video then edit it. I have to film the whole lot.
Then you edit it to town, yeah. I get you. Yeah. So, Pen, so have you done your Falcon lately?
Sorry, have I done the who?
Your Millennium Falcon?
No, that's still in the lockup, and I'm kind of itching for that one, but I don't really know how to approach that from a YouTube point of view, because I've got no space for it on the YouTube channel. So I think what I might do is build a few issues, and do it a slightly boring way, and just say, "Oh, this is my update on the Millennium Falcon. This is this I've put in," and but it's getting quite good because I'm now about to start on the, what do they call them, the mandibles at the front.
Yeah,
the way they're built up is actually quite nice.
Mm.
You see, you build like a square structure, and then you add the bodywork to it. So I'll just take that off a bit.
So how's your bus getting along?
It's well, Alex Demetrius has come to the rescue. I did 96 I started 96 last week, but I just completely lost the flow of it. So last week's episode was really just a case of getting into the swing of it.
Oh yeah, because you haven't done it for months, have you?
Oh, it's a really hard build to start part way through.
Yeah, but it's
just change the angle a bit to
That's
this.
better.
I'm not over keen on this small screen. I think when we've got 3 people or 5, I think this is a better view, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I did some more of it today, and it went well, except that I found out I've lost issue 8. I might have lost issue 86, which is a front window that we've made in advance, and that's got to go on 97. And also I've not got my little electric box set up yet, and I wanted to test the electrics again.
You can test them now, can't you, with the batteries in?
But it's a lot of work setting things up. It's something that you've got to kind of get ready for and prepare for. When we had like, here's a light bulb, it was like, I can just chuck that in and I can figure out how to test that one. The lights that we've done the lights on the upper deck today, and because it's a like a through cable, it was easy to test. So I'm just masking this off just to glue parts onto. I'm going to glue this bit, and then I'm going to start from the front and bring it up. But I want to get this like, whoops. But do you know what? I know I've not done anything complex on this yet, but I'm quite happy with this.
Yeah.
It's not a massive ship. But it's not tiny. I haven't gone in with something ridiculously simple. And there are challenging bits to come. But I'm all right with this. I like this.
When I first saw the red one, I thought it was a Bismarck.
Yeah, well, that's the water line. So I guess this is roughly where it would be if it's in the water.
Yeah, the color.
Yeah. It's funny that just about every ship model maker, at least nowadays, and even back in the old days, if they gave you that option of waterline or full hull, they always mold the lower hull in hull red.
Yeah. Do you know why why all ships have a hull red? Is it like the material, like the type of paint that they use?
Yeah, it's a type of paint to kind of help keep the barnacles off.
Right. Okay.
Corrosion.
Because like a lot of World War II aircraft have yellow or green interiors, don't they? Because that's some kind of something oxide, isn't it? Stop it from rusting.
Well, there's zinc chromate, which is
zinc chromate. That's it, yeah.
And there's yellow. There's a yellow version and the green version, but an awful lot of cockpits in World War II aircraft were green, and that was just the color that was in vogue, because there's lots of different colors of green. Brits used that gray green color.
Humboldt green.
Yeah. And
Not
then
Pioneer green.
German aircraft were early on were RLM-02 gray green, and then it went to black green. Then when we got to the 50s, all the cockpits went black.
Okay.
And nowadays they're usually a version of gray in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Whatever's in vogue at the time.
It's funny that I very nearly asked you a question that I was asked today. All my electronics knowledge, and most of my knowledge actually, comes from playing, self-learning, asking questions. And I was showing someone my little bench power supply box that I've just made, and he said, "How do you know so much?" And I very nearly asked you that very same question, and I think the answer is quite simple. It's where you have been doing stuff over the years.
It's what interests you.
Yes, but you probably didn't know these facts many years ago.
Nope.
So you asked someone and you learnt them. Right.
Asked someone, read a book, whatever.
I'm going to do a bit of a catch up on the chat. David Bassett is still very patiently with us. P40F20, the RAF Kitty Hawk 2 was either a P40F or P40L with a Packard built Merlin engines.
Well, I'd have to say, David, I did not know that the RAF used the Merlin engine P40s. So that's something new to me. I know that the P40Fs were first used by our forces in North Africa during Operation Torch, and the P40Ls I think showed up more in the Pacific, but I was unaware that the RAF actually flew them. So thank you for that.
So like you said, they didn't improve the performance much, unlike the Merlins and the P-51D Mustangs, becoming an iconic long-range fighter for both the American Air Force and the RAF.
Well, the thing of it is, for the P-51D Mustangs, they used the Merlin engine that had a two-stage, two-speed supercharger. So that's why they were good at high altitude. When they decided to try a Merlin in the P-40s, they only had a single-stage, single-speed supercharger. That's why they didn't really do much to improve the performance. So that's the reason there.
So was that a case of, well, that worked really well in that aircraft, so let's pop it into that aircraft, and then they discover, actually, that wasn't such a good idea after all?
Well, like I say, it wasn't such a good idea because they didn't really use the right engine, the right version of the Merlin.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
One thing that maybe you don't know, but I always find very interesting is that when the British Purchasing Commission came over to the United States looking to buy aircraft, they went to North American and asked them to produce the P-40s for them under license. And North American said, wait a minute, we'll do you one better. Give us 100 days. We'll build you a better fighter than the P-40. So that's how the Mustang got born. But of course, it was powered by an Allison engine.
Right.
When you guys got your hands on the early Mustangs, you were the ones who stuffed a Merlin in it and said, hey, look at this. So really, it's the British that are responsible for our best fighter of World War II.
Fair enough. So it's fair to say it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
Mr. One thing I'm very thankful of with polystyrene cement is if you don't touch it, it's not going to change the shape of the plastic.
Yeah, you're not going to get a thumbprint on it or something.
No, as long as you don't touch it. Like,
yeah.
Whoops, I've just accidentally gone up the hull. But it's okay if I just touch it. Don't touch it until it dries. I'll get away with it.
Yeah, you paint right over it and you never know it's there.
Yeah. So, David Bassett, P40F20. I was born in High Wycombe, Buckingham, England. Sorry, Buckinghamshire. Was HQ to both RAF Bomber Command. But is that RAF Naphill? Is that what I know as RAF High Wycombe? Based at Wycombe Abbey School was USAF 8th Air Force HQ during World War II.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Glenn Miller performed one of his last ever concerts at High Wycombe a few months before he disappeared over the channel. And Dano Bill says, really enjoying the show and the knowledge from P40F20. Really interested.
Well, I'm glad you're entertained, Dano.
Yeah. That's really awkward. The interesting knowledge here, though.
Yeah, it's all fun stuff to learn. I think this is one of the things I used to love about the model kits, because I feel obliged to learn a little bit about the model that you're building, and it increases the interest then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And you know, one day I might do a model so good that I can show it off to someone, and you just know they're going to go, oh, well, tell me about so and so, you know. And if you turn around and go, well, actually, I know absolutely nothing about it, that kind of defeats the object, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Somewhat. And also you run into a lot of people and say, don't you know that little piston hanger over there is the wrong shape and it should be located 2 inches further back?
Right. I have always dealt with people like that, mainly with figure painting. And I'm lucky that, I mean, I've spent quite a few years doing figure painting. And, you know, I'm at the point now where people do come up to me and say, oh, is this any good? And my answer is always the same. Do you like it? Are you happy? And if they say, yeah, it's the best work I've ever done, I'm like, right, well, it's good. If they say, well, no, I can do better, then I'll go, okay, then fine, it's terrible. Go away and do better. And no, I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you got to please yourself. If you're happy with what you've done, then that's all that's really important.
Yeah. This ship, I'm learning a little bit more about it. The way that I'm gluing this is a new technique for me. I haven't done kits since I was a kid. And I was the big tube of glue.
Yep. More glue, the better.
Yeah, that's it. More glue, the better. And then first time I saw this method, I'm like, wow. And it's using science to, I don't understand the science of this action, but I know enough to know that this is working really well. And it makes putting kits together so much easier.
Yeah, it does.
And, you know, there was some bits I went a little bit close to the masking tape, and I could see the glue running underneath the masking tape, because obviously the masking tape changes color.
Yep.
And I also know the glue isn't going to stick to the masking tape. Because the glue doesn't work like that.
Well, if you get too much glue under the masking tape, though, you can get an impression of the texture of the masking tape.
Oh, of course.
Which would be something then you have to fix. You know, It's like not touching the glue spot on the thing with your finger before it dries.
Yes. But then again, if that happens to me, then that becomes a new challenge and a new skill I've got to learn. And this is a bit of a difficult one. Holding the ship like this, trying to bring it up. You know, I'm going to do this off camera because I can't get it in position.
Another good thing to do with ships is once you do have the hull all together and finished is to actually stick it in a vise, you know, like a Panda vise where you can, I think you have one, where you can move the head all around.
Right. I'm going to be at risk of being, what's the female equivalent of a fanboy? Is it a fangirl?
I don't know. Never heard that
Right.
term.
So I did a video the other day on some units that I got, which I'm in the process of buying loads more. And this is the company EBMA. I absolutely love them. But they do things like probably looking at this. No, I thought they did a ship stand.
Oh, I bet they do.
Everyone
Actually, that one with the train car in it wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah. So things like that. I just bought. I think I did show this on the on my Route Master stream, but I've just had a couple of custom units made, and they're fabulous. I was doing a bench supply, and I just found out I'm useless at cutting wood, but I had a 2-pin plug socket there, and I had a little I don't know what you call it, the variable power supply thing, and then you got
potentiometer.
Yeah, that's basically all it is. And then you got your banana plugs there, and I've got some buck converters supplying a set supply there. So this is 1 volt, 5 volt, 9, and then this one is whatever this is set for.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the anyway. So, but I can't cut the wood square. I don't know if you noticed there. This is my square bit of wood. To actually make it square, I've had to glue this piece of wood on at an angle to square it off. And to redo this, I'm going to have to buy another bit of wood for about £10. It'll do it all properly. What I actually did, I'm going to go back to the EBMA website. Hang on, I need the keyboard. Sorry, I throw my keyboard on the bed when I'm not using it when I'm streaming. So yeah, I've been. I suppose you could call it lazy. This is quite a useful little item. It's just a little box, and you can chuck your bits in. And as you can see, it's £14. And I said, could you make a double height one of those? And he says, yeah, no problems. Quote me £17. And I thought, well, that'll all have square edges, won't it? Because it's already.
Yeah, he's got all the proper equipment to cut the wood. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all laser cut. So, cut a long story short, let me change my camera. Along with the new Dremel that I bought myself, there is my double height storage unit.
That looks nice.
It is, isn't it? I mean, pardon?
What's that power supply for?
What kind of?
No, what is that unit for? Because you've got like
Right,
plug.
we've got a double plug socket there, so that instead of having trailing wires, my nearest plug socket is down there on the floor.
That's cool.
And then my door is there, so if I have things plugged in and then I go to the toilet, for example, I come back, I trip over the wire, whatever's there goes flying on the floor. So by having a power supply there, I've got one, so I can plug my airbrush compressor or whatever. And then these I've got for me. I haven't put it all the way in because I'm going to paint all of this.
That was cool.
Yeah, and it took me about an hour to make. I cheated with the measurements. This measurement there to cut across for there, this is actually the width of a set square ruler. And I just lined it up with the top and then drew a line, then did the same there, cut a line down there and then one across there, working out how much short I am, got the Dremel sander and just kept sanding a line there and then sanding the line there. And again here, this is running that line straight down, and then I've got set measurements, and and there's more room in the back. And I actually forgot, because when I was working on the wooden version, which I've gone and put down somewhere.
Is that a 240? Is it?
Pardon?
What volt is that? Is that the standard 240 volt?
It's going to be 240 volts or 220 or whatever we have.
Yeah,
And
240, yeah.
all it is, it's gonna be a plug socket in at the back on the wall with a lead that runs up, taped attached to the table, comes up through the table into the back of the socket to give me a 240 volt power supply.
Cool.
But it can then also run the power supply for the bench supply. But I need to buy, at the moment, this bench supply is being supplied by what's effectively a laptop supply, and it's a 24 volt output, excuse me. So that'll give this a 24 volt input, which gives me a maximum of 22 volt output. But what I'm going to do, I've got a unit that's coming from Bangor. Sorry, I've got hiccups again now. So it's going to be is a power supply you can get. It's 240 volt input and it outputs 60 volts, which is about the maximum that this can handle. But then this has got, so basically I've got powers all coming off the same one, but it works because although I have lots of different electrical, bits of electrical items, I don't use them all at the same time. So for example, my airbrush compressor, I won't be using that at the same time as my solder iron. So I probably only need one plug, but I've put a double plug in just in case.
Always handy to have an extra.
Yeah. But my electronics knowledge comes, a lot of it comes from Love Minis. Love Minis is one of these lovely ladies who I'm slightly old school. I was the subjects that I'm more knowledgeable in. I've been taught by someone who shouts at you, and you kind of get it right because you don't want to be shouted at. I know some people disagree with that kind of learning, but
I've had a few teachers like that.
Yeah. But that's where I've always learned best. When I worked in a nursing home, I had a matron who, she really was terrible for shouting. But I learned all my pressure points within one shift. Yeah. So when I came in on day 2 and they say, oh, go and apply cream to so-and-so's pressure points, bang, it's done. And it's done properly because I don't want her coming after me, chasing me, shouting at me. But Love Minis, she doesn't shout at me, but she's not scared to tell me when I've done wrong. And that's what I need. If you don't tell me I've done wrong, I'm going to carry on doing it wrong. Sometimes being all nicey is not good.
Yeah, different people need different things.
Yeah, I know some people get upset if you try. I mean, I call it constructive criticism. Some people call it being horrible. But I mean, obviously, a lot of the time it's how you phrase things. But if I say to people, your video's good, but really you want to perhaps look at improving this bit. And then some people take it well, some people don't. So David Bassett, a friend of mine, works in the archive section at Martin Baker's at Denham in Bucks, where they make most of the ejector seats for RAF and also some crash-worthy seats used in the Osprey. Now that's an aircraft I'd like to build.
I think Martin Baker makes about most of the ejector seats for the entire world.
Yeah, aren't they like the Rolls-Royce of the ejector seat world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their niche.
Yeah. David Bassett. Penny, also the Martin Baker Mark 14. I don't know what NACES means. NACES.
Do not know that.
Oh, is that the radar? Is that the radar system? No, that's I don't know. I'm going to shut up.
Sounds more like an ejector seat.
Yeah,
Reaching to me.
You've just this second said Martin Baker, their niche is ejector seats, and I'm saying is that radar, and then I'm suddenly like, oh yeah. So, but yeah, no, I know he'll respond if need be. Right, so I've now done a double cock up. So
Again?
yeah. So I forgot to drill the holes at the beginning, didn't I? And then we figured out you could shine a light through the bottom. And just as you went to the toilet, there were my next holes. Then I changed my
drill bit,
the 1 mil bit.
Yeah.
And I went to the toilet intending to drill the next holes when I came back.
And you didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I've stuck the hull on. So I've got to find these 1 mil holes now. And I think the holes.
Well, then again, depending on the part that goes in that hole, what you might be able to do is just cut the locating peg off the part and glue it down to the deck when the time comes.
But I'm still going to try the light trick because
yeah, it can still work.
Okay, I've not got the luck this time, but
need a brighter light.
Oh, I have. It worked. Yes.
Well, that's got done.
There's one. Oh, you can't see it because I got the long camera angle on.
Well, they're near the edge of the deck, so you might be able to shine the light in sideways, maybe a bit.
It does work.
It works. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Look, there's the.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah,
I see it.
Very faint for you, but it's not quite so faint for me.
Yeah, I can see it.
So there's my first hole.
Yeah, we're back along.
You gotta move that hull around though. There we go. You can probably see it brighter now, can't you? So the second one. Oh, do you know what? That light's giving me night blindness. Right, so the second hole should be there. And yep. Oh, I hit jackpot there, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was extremely lucky lady there.
Now make sure you don't drill out holes that you're not supposed to, though.
No, there are 6 holes.
Because I've done that. If you drill out a hole, then you realize I shouldn't have drilled out that hole. Then you got to plug it.
Yeah. No, what I've done was right. So I've forgotten. I'd not forget about these two while I'm doing these two, and I worked out that you want a hole there, and there was no soft point, so I have estimated that one, and it's about a third of the way in, which that one is. I don't know how well you can see that. The next hole was this one there, which I did catch that one with a light, but that one I did this one, I guessed. But I based it on the position of those 2 squares. Oh, sorry, you can't see it. There's 2 squares there.
Yeah.
I think that's those 2 squares there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went straight to the front because I already had the 0.8 mil bit in. And these two, I think they are 1, 2. I think it's there. But I did actually find that with a light. Here it is. I've hid that up with masking tape. That one there.
Mm-hmm.
So that one was found with a light, as was this one. Round about there where that masking tape is. Sorry. So round about there, I think you'll probably find. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
So that one was found with a light, and I've just got a little bit lucky with those 1 mil holes. But that's all I need to drill out. I don't know why I've got to drill those out yet, but I will find out.
Something goes in there.
Yeah. I'm sure they're not going to make me drill out holes that I don't need. Right. So I'm.
As a matter of fact, there's the stuff right there that goes in those holes.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So I'm going to let that cure. I'm not going to paint tonight. So I'm going to skip all the way to the stand, which is stage 17. So, oh. So I've stuck the hull on. Oh, yeah. See, again, read the instructions. It says upper hull. Not actually telling us to stick the lower hull on until
Lower hull or the flat waterline plate.
No, that's an option.
Yeah.
Because the waterline plate is this.
Right. Yeah.
It's quite nice. I suppose this is useful if you were doing a diorama.
Yeah.
Because now you've got the footprint of the ship to do, rather than having to ruin this and get.
Yeah. Otherwise, if it was just a full hull kit, you'd have to cut the bottom off.
Yeah. What I've seen done before is people get a piece of polystyrene and then they put the ship on and they mark round and then they cut it out.
Cut it out so the hull will fit in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So David Bass says no penny. It stands for Naval Aircrew Ejection Seat. Naval Aircrew.
NASIS.
Yeah. And then was lucky enough to be invited into their market at Farnborough Air Show a few years ago. I've got to do more air shows. Used to love the air. Well, we used to go to the RAF Lakenheath Air Show regular, and I didn't even used to go for the aircraft, to be honest with you. I used to go for the activities, and one thing I was a little bit partial to was root beer. I absolutely love root beer, and it really is not much loved by the British.
Really?
So, I hate it. It's really hard to get hold of. It is very much a love it or hate it thing, isn't it?
Like Marmite.
I guess so.
The closest you can get is Dr. Pepper, but there is. But a lot of people don't like Dr. Pepper.
Well, Dr. Pepper, I wouldn't call a root beer. It's more like a cherry Coke.
Yeah, but it is the closest you'll get to a root beer.
Yeah, I like root beer too.
I love it.
Ginger beer is disgusting, though.
Depends if you like ginger. I find it a bit too fiery. I like ginger in cooking.
Did you ever have Werner's ginger beer?
No.
It's aged in oak barrels. It has a very distinctive taste, and it doesn't taste like your ordinary ginger beer.
Yeah. I did not know.
Hey guys, don't cut like I do. One thing I've noticed with scale modelers is they will give you all the safety talks on using things properly, but
it's so much easier to cut towards yourself.
I know.
It's not like you're whittling a piece of wood. So you don't have this huge knife blade that you could slash yourself with. Yeah. Getting a cut by an X-Acto blade is just par for the course.
Yeah. Yes, I've cut myself with these blades so many times.
Yeah.
And on the plus side, it's a really good clean cut. So it does heal nicely. But unfortunately, because it's such a clean, sharp cut, you've done a lot of damage before you even react.
Yeah, because it slides in so easy.
Oh.
And it seems to cut skin easier than plastic.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I've cut a good almost to the bone with it before. Oh. And I'm quite ashamed to say that I've cut myself a few times changing the blade. which is a bit silly, isn't it?
It's important. Before it,
Yeah.
that's one thing I'm confused about, right? You know the USA plugs, right? With the UK plugs, you switch them on, but the USA you don't do.
Run that by me again, Chris.
You know the USA plugs, sockets.
That you mean the 2-pin American plugs?
Yeah. So because what
Yeah.
we do in the UK, we got to switch somewhere to switch our plugs on, but the USA don't.
Yeah, they do.
What, you switch them
I
on?
thought you could. I think what Chris means is
That's what confused me. Yeah.
switch my camera. Right. So obviously I've got no power coming through the plug, but as it stands right now, if you plug a plug in there, it's not going to work because you've got to switch them on.
Right.
Do you have that in America?
Yeah, we have things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought you did.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I've seen a few plugs where they don't have that switch. But
We have some wall switches that are like that, so you can turn on and off a socket. I have one like that right by my door. You could have, or actually, it only works on there. It's a two prong outlet, but
Yeah.
for the upper one, you can plug something into it, and unless you have the wall switch turned on, it doesn't work.
right.
I did not know that.
Well, that makes a bit of sense actually, because if you can't see the plug, you probably shouldn't be playing with electrical things.
No, that. Yeah, that's different to what the US do and what they do in the US to what us. So
Yeah, I've had the US electrical system explained to me, and I'm still none the wiser. But I think it's the differences is more in the voltage, isn't it?
yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you said your voltage is like 240 and ours is like 220.
Yeah. Oh, I thought yours was 110.
Well, 110 for general use, but for like an appliance like a washer or dryer, it's 220.
Right. So that would explain why you get the quite often you get a little switch on the back. You can convert it from 110 to 220 or 240.
Yeah.
Right.
All different. So yeah.
But I think whereas you have a lower voltage, you have a higher something else, amp or something like that, don't you?
Well, they kind of go hand in hand a bit.
That was interesting because I've never been to America, so it's interesting what they do differently to us.
Well, that's nice. I quite like that, the way that goes.
You know, it's funny looking at the stand that you're working on, and it's like that stand would not be out of place in say an old Revell ship kit from the 1950s.
Yeah,
same thing.
That's quite nice. I'll get you the Tirpitz one. The Tirpitz and the Bismarck one is the same because it's obviously the same kit.
Right.
I actually had quite a bit of trouble with it. I'm still in the process of sanding it, but obviously it's a bigger stand because it's a bigger ship.
Right.
But you've also got a plate that goes on the side.
For the ship's name and stuff.
Yeah, and it's all done in this fancy German style writing. And I looked at that and I went, no chance. But of course, the Tirpitz is a bit more flat bottomed.
Right. Yeah.
But
that's where the stand would go.
Yeah, I've still got a lot of work to do where these haven't met properly. It's a bit rocky. So I'm just in the process of taking this down. You can see where it's No, you can't.
Yeah, for something like that, you need to like tape a sheet of sandpaper down to your table and
That's
just
what I'm doing.
slide it. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
This why I was looking at this. This is nice because you've only got these 2 points of contact with the actual ground. So I wonder if that would work better. Whereas my little submarine sub, it's nice and cute and small. But what you also need to remember is that's the hopper, which is a small ship, and there's your submarine.
Is that a 1-350 submarine?
So these are all 350. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. It looked a little big to be a 1-700.
Yes. Yeah. I gather it's a big sub, but I don't know. I need to look up the sub. Actually, it's a Soviet Navy Victor III class Project 671 RTMK SSN. Whatever that is.
Well, it's not as big as a Typhoon.
Well, no, I mean these are the things that I'm, one of the things I'm interested about this is I know how to highlight and I know theoretically how to weather, but this submarine is black, and you can't darken black.
Well, you can lighten black with
yes.
grays and whites.
Yes, so you've just turned, for me, weathering right on its head. So that's another skill that I'm going to have to learn. These little kits that I'm doing, they're all educational to help me build up to things like the Bismarck. And there's three aircraft carriers I'm interested in. One is the Langley, which is the first US aircraft carrier.
Right.
I can't remember the name of the fourth one now. It's a CV4.
Oh, that would be the Yorktown.
Yorktown. And that was the first purpose-built aircraft carrier, because the first three were converted from ships.
Right, yeah. And then they came out with the Yorktown class, which was the Yorktown, the Enterprise, and the Hornet.
Yes.
Now, that's a part works I would like to see, the Enterprise. That was the most decorated carrier. It's the only carrier that was in it from the beginning to the end. The other early ones got sunk.
Yes. I was watching, I don't know how accurate it really is, but it's a film I found on Amazon, Midway.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched that today. It's extremely CGI heavy. In fact, I think there's more CGI in it than there is acting. But it's a good little film. It's, you've got the heroics and things, and I did like it when he destroyed this ship, but he'd gone in so low that as he came up, he caught his wingtip on the surface of the sea, and I thought, yeah, that didn't happen in real life, did it?
Well, depends on how much of the tip went in, but it could possibly happen. But yeah, they do take a lot of artistic license.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that version myself yet, but there's been a lot of complaints that they didn't have any wildcats in it.
I can't remember the plane. Is it the Dauntless that they had?
The Dauntless actually did the dive bombing
with a guy sitting at the back with a machine gun pointing.
Right. Yeah, the Douglas Dauntless, and then the Vindicators came in first. They all got shot down by the air cap. So by the time the Dauntlesses arrived, they had just had open skies and they had a field day.
Yeah. Right. I'm thinking how best to put this on. I want to keep it square, but I don't know. Do I use? I'll tell you what, shall we use the squares from my cutting mat?
That would do it.
So I've got this side. Oh, let's move the camera.
Or set the hole in it and let the hole make it feel.
Do you know what?
Feel itself comfortable.
That. See, the thing is, the glue is going to start to set before I put the last bit of glue on. But what we could do, right? I've got this side lined up exactly with a line, and then I've got the shadow lining up with that line there. So I think that's square. So let's do this sideways because I can't get at the back. So if I put a dab of glue there, there and there. I don't know if you can actually see this.
Yeah, you're putting dabs of glue on
I've not fully glued the stand. I've just glued 2 contact points at each corner.
Well, the capillary action will probably take that glue all the way across the joint.
That's what I'm thinking. So what I'm going to do now is I need another wee. So I'm going to disappear for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Okay with you. So I'll catch up with the chat because I think I got told off earlier for missing the chat out. Hate it, Penny. My son loves it. That's about the root beer. He got a taste for it when we were in Florida, like Krabby's alcoholic ginger beer. Now, I don't like Krabby's alcoholic ginger beer. So went inside a Royal Navy submarine HMS, is it Opossum?
Opossum, yeah.
Many years ago at the now closed RNAS, that's Royal Naval Air Squadron, at Portland near Weymouth at one of their Navy days. Was the land base for their Westland Wasp helicopters. Now the Wasps, are they those little really diddy, funny looking helicopters? They look like they're too small to do anything practical, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to go for wing. When I come back, I'll tell you my Sea King story.
Okay.
It's the only story I've got about Sea Kings, but it's for me.
Well, for that, innit? Oh. It's one quick tonight, don't it? Oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm thinking of doing more things on my channel soon if I can, but when I get some pre-recorded videos.
Yeah, didn't you have something up this past week with the PlayStation 4 game? Something like that?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I'm enjoying doing that.
Uh-huh.
That's something different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, one game I did put in, I don't think it's appropriate because there's a lot of swearing.
Oh.
GTA. So I thought, no, I'll probably play that other game instead.
I didn't know they had swearing in video games, unless that's just you.
Oh, yeah, no, the 18 games, because it's an 18 plus, see?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought, no, that's not for YouTube.
Mm.
So that's why I'm...
You have your eye on any other part works?
No, I got enough for the minute. One thing I'm looking for is a GoPro.
Uh-huh.
That'll be the next, because I want to do this when I'm out and about then, so I can do videos.
Uh-huh.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah.
An empty bladder is a happy bladder.
I've been watching Fleetwood J and Adrian build that Volkswagen Samba camper, and it's like,
Yeah,
gee, that looks nice.
it does look really nice.
Yeah, I want to have myself, but
Yeah, it's one of those ones where, you know, if you have lots of nice things, you have no money and you have no time to go to work and earn money.
yeah.
So yeah, when I was a kid, I was in Air Cadets, and my stepfather was in the RAF working at RAF Coltshall, which is why I have a bit of a thing for Jaguars and 54 Squadron. Got very excited. We went through a period of about 3 or 4 issues where they with a build a Spitfire, and they were mentioning things that were based at Coltshall or things that were 54 Squadron or 41 Squadron. Anyway, so my dad worked at Coltshall, and every now and again he'd invite me to go to work with him, and I'd go in my uniform. And there's 2 types of Air Cadets in Britain. There's the boarding school ones, which is CCF, which I was in. And then you've got the Air Training Corps, which is the ATC. And bit of a rivalry between the two. But it was a really good experience when the ATC would have their summer camp at RAF, one of the squadrons would have their summer camp at RAF Coltshall, and they'd be having an air experience flight where they just go up in chipmunks, and then they have 20 minutes, and then they land, and the next one goes. And then along would come me. I would go all the way to the front of the queue, and I'd be up in the air for about an hour. And it was fantastic. But there's one day, 202 Squadron, which is seeking search and rescue. They invited me to go along with them in a seeking. And this was during the school summer holidays. And they took me up in this helicopter. We landed on a beach somewhere. I really don't know what beach, but I'm going to guess it's Winterton or round about the Hemsby way because of the sand dunes. And then they left me in the dunes for about 20 minutes. And then they come back and they rescued me as though I was at sea.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was their practicing. Oh, it's the most amazing experience ever. And then they gave me my little flight book and they marked off 2 hours flying. And it was absolutely brilliant because, you know, you do a year at school and we used to go flying once a term, and we get 20 minutes. If we're really lucky, we'd get a second flight so we get 40 minutes. So after your first year in Air Cadets, you'd at the end of the school summer holidays for the year, you'd have an hour's worth of flying time. And then to go back to school 8 weeks later with an additional 6 hours in your book.
In a sea king. Oh, yeah.
King, chipmunks, huskies. Yeah. And you show your mates and they're like, whoa, it's going to take 6 years to get that much experience. But the one regret I had, my dad said to me once, do you want to come to work with me? And I said, no. I said, I really can't. I said, I've got this exam coming up soon and I really need to sort of do a bit of study. And so I got home from school that day and my dad was there and he went, you missed a really good day, you know. I said it's probably just a little boring day, wasn't it? He went, no. He says an A10 came in. It was due to land at Bentwaters. It had an engine problem, so it had to do an emergency landing at RAF Coltshall. It came in, it burst a tyre on landing, and it sat there, and we had to wait for Jolly Green Giant to come in with spare parts for it.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I missed all of that. And he's
Yeah.
So, so Dave Bassett, Hull 2 torpedoes so packed to punch the army had the equivalent Westland Scout. This wasps were replaced on the frigates by the Lynx, which now replaced by the Wildcat. And then he says, both my kids are in Sea Cadets. So you're more sea then, are you, David? Or is it your kids are sea and you're a bit Air Forcey? Right, I'm happy with my day there.
Well, you made some good progress.
I think I made progress, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 ship stands now and 2 hulls. And yeah, that's it. So
yeah,
I've got a massive stash building. So I've got my SH-60B Seahawk. I've got my Spitfire, which is strictly going to be for... oh, I did buy one other thing for this. It was the one thing that disappointed me. Oops. So I said I didn't buy any aftermarket parts. Technically, I did. It didn't come with any Seahawks.
What are them?
So this is a
helicopters, yeah.
This is a 350 scale Seahawk.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to sit on the back, because it's got a little helipad on the back. So yeah, I bought
Seahawk wouldn't be out of place.
No, and I even got the right one.
Mm-hmm.
I Wikipedia'd it, and I looked to make sure I got the right one. And
never believe Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, Wikipedia is a funny thing. I think you've got to look at the quality of the writing. An example of how bad it can be, not really totally, well, it is slightly relevant because David Bassett's watching, but I had an argument with someone on a forum once, and I said Dion Dublin had signed for Wickham, and he went, "No, Dion Dublin's never signed for Wickham." I said, "Yeah, he was on loan." I said, "I don't think he played any games, but he was on loan." No. I said, "Right, well," so we looked it up on Wikipedia, and there it was. He'd signed. I went into this Wikipedia the next day, and on Dion Dublin's page, it had said, "Contrary to popular belief, Dion Dublin has never played for Wickham Wanderers." Obviously, he'd gone in and edited the page just so that I could be wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is the down. Well, it's the good thing about Wikipedia, but also the bad. I could go on, if I know a fact, I can go on to Wikipedia and change it. But if I'm wrong, that fact can get carried over to everything. So David Bassett, been to several air shows at Army Air Corps Middle Wallop in Hampshire, seeing all the historic and modern helicopters. Now I was rather disappointed. I forget where it is. There's an Army helicopter base in Norfolk. I've gone and forgotten the name, and they fly the Apaches. I think Prince William was based there at some point as an Apache pilot. Now I went there as a courier driver. It's a little bit difficult to get in because you've got to have all your photo taken, and you've got to show them like a zillion forms of ID, and then you get this temporary day pass. But there's me driving around the base in my bright yellow and green van. Next thing I know, I'm actually on the helicopter pan, and I'm like 20 feet away from these Apaches, and I'm like, it really wasn't that long ago before we were on really high alert for terrorism, and God knows what damage I could have potentially done. So I probably wouldn't have survived very long if I'd attempted anything, but you know, it's so yeah, I've seen Apaches close up. So yeah. So also on holiday in Cornwall, stopped off in the viewing area at RNAS Cold Rose, where their Westland Merlins are now based. And there we go. Dion Dublin has played for Wickham Wanderers on loan from Cambridge United. So, yeah. No, well, David Bassett is a very big Wycombe Wanderers fan.
Yeah.
So that's one area we have we have a connection with. And I suppose on the subject of Wycombe, I suppose you're quite happy, are you, Chris? We got a little bit stuffed by you earlier in the season, didn't we?
How about this one's
Yeah. Well, it's our first season in this division.
Yeah, Swansea have one of the seasons so far.
Yeah, I've got faith. When we got promoted to League One, we were getting stuffed at the beginning of the season, and I think what it was is we were still playing our old style, lower division style of football.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I think we changed our style a little bit. Gareth Ainsworth, our manager, was like, yeah, okay, right. If we're going to be in this league, we need to play like this. And I think that's what's happening this season. And I think the results are showing. I think we got a very good. We're still second from bottom in the table, but it's early days, and we got a rather creditable draw. Really good performance, I thought, against Norwich.
We beat Watford, though.
No, we drew.
I thought we beat Watford.
Yeah, we haven't won anything this season. I don't think we won a pre-season friendly at all either, did we? But yeah, we're you know, the trouble is I always say I'd rather the team put in a good performance and lose than put in a crap performance and win. But unfortunately, losing doesn't get you any points.
Yeah.
So, P40, are you a sports fan at all?
Actually, no.
Really?
I'm very unusual for an American male. I don't care about sports at all.
Yeah. See, now my dad, he is such a stereotypical American. He'll come home from work. He'll put his feet up. He'll put the sports on the telly. He'll open a can of Budweiser. And if his team isn't on the TV, he'll be quite happy to watch, as long as he's watching sport.
Yeah.
There you go. That sums up our team. Yesterday we played Watford, who paid 40 million for one player. Our total budget for this season is 5 million. But yeah, no, that's unfortunately we are a little team on the way up, and we're meeting big teams on the way down. And no, we'll be all right. So, so what do you do as a pastime then, just for chilling out? Then, P40.
Well, I've got my various hobbies. I've got a small N-gauge model railroad. I build plastic models. I do the part works. I love to read. There's a lot of series on TV that I haven't had time to watch that I've been binge watching on Netflix and Hulu.
Are you into Doctor Who? Are you?
Yeah.
Good man. So, what do you think of the new Doctor Who? Then I'm gonna chuck this controversial question out.
I haven't watched the new Doctor Who. I did when they brought it back to America here a few years ago with the color episodes with what was his name, David something or other.
David Tennant.
Yeah, I liked him. And then it was like he was only on for a season, and then they brought in another one, and then all of a sudden it disappeared again. But my favorite Doctor of all time is oh gosh, now the name has escaped me. Doctor number 4.
Oh God, now you're asking me there.
With the long scarf and the jelly babies.
To Tom Baker.
Tom Baker, yes, that's it exactly. That's my favorite Doctor.
See, someone told me a theory that they said your favorite James Bond is the one that you grew up with.
I think that goes for anything.
Yeah, and I think that's the way. I mean, the first Doctor Who that I saw, it was round about Tom Baker, Peter Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
Davidson. But I wasn't really a massive Who fan. It really wasn't. The episodes they were too drawn out. They were, you know, they were more of a mini series, weren't they?
Right.
It was
Yeah.
one story throughout the whole, and it was, if you missed an episode, you've lost the plot then. And but the new Who, I kind of got into that quite accidental. Colin Baker was Doctor Who number 5. It's a Wickham fan. Yeah, that I was waiting for that actually, because we've both bought this book. It's Wickham Wanderers from last season, but everybody who pre-ordered the copy got their name printed in the book. So I got my name printed as well, and David and all of his family's got their name in it, as has Colin Baker. So I'm mentioned in the same book at the same classification as a Doctor Who. Not the majorest, biggest claim to fame, but yeah, no, I used to go. I always get into work early, and I like to have a nice cup of coffee and chill out, so I'm nice and relaxed before I start work. And I worked in this nursing home, and I used to sit and watch telly with this guy for one of the residents. I'd make him a cup of tea, bring him a biscuit, I'd have a cup of coffee, and we'd sit there and watch telly. And Doctor Who was on, and Doctor Who finished about 5 or 10 minutes before I was due to start work. So I'd come into work about an hour early. We'd get on with it. And it was around about the Dalek episode in the first New Who series. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. And it really kind of appealed to me more. And then I caught up from the episode 1. And then I've just been watching it ever since. And funnily enough, you say about the Doctors changing. I do like David Tennant, but every time we have a new Doctor, I go, yeah, don't like him. And then about 3 or 4 episodes in, he really warms up to me, and then I really get to like him. But then they have a new Doctor, and I'm like, yeah, don't like him.
They've got a female one, haven't they?
Yeah, I also liked John Pertwee. He was the doctor before Tom Baker.
Yeah. Oh yes, I remember. See, trouble is, like when I think of John Pertwee, I think of Wurzel Gummidge. You haven't got a clue.
I haven't got a clue.
No, it was a kids program. Well, younger. It was Adventures of a Scarecrow. He was this scarecrow called Wurzel Gummidge, and he had a companion or something. I can remember Aunt Sally, which was a doll, but it was a humanoid doll, and it was, yeah, you probably had to be there to get it. But yeah, it's David Bassett says my favorite episode of David Tennant's era is Blink with a Weep. I absolutely loved. There's only 2 things I'm genuinely scared. They say about the Daleks and the Cybermen being scary. They don't actually scare me, and I don't think about them after the show. The only things I've ever thought of is the Weeping Angels. And in case you don't know about the Weeping Angels, they are statues. And they are statues when you are looking at them, and they can only move when there's no one looking at them. And so you'll blink, and then suddenly it's moved a bit closer. And I think there's various things they can do, but the main ones, they would send you back in time, and they would feed off some energy. And it's kind of, I think these statues, gargoyle type things, I do think they're a scary one. But the other one that does scare me is Nash Navara, the library one, where in every shadow you have these little tiny animals that eat whatever, and they naturally live in the woods, and their numbers are so low you will never notice them. But they had this big library, and obviously it's full up of books. So if you've got a planet full of books, you can imagine the amount of trees that have been cut down to make those books. So over time, these little thingamybobs, they've collected up, they've all hoarded into big areas. So you can go into a shadow and you will be completely eaten to the bone within a second.
Wow.
And one of the things they say, and this is the thing that kind of hit me, they're not in every shadow, but they can be in any shadow. And it's that I've actually really found quite scary. And now when the lights go out, you know, you switch your light off to go to bed, you're like, oh, you know. And what they kind of went through this era in Doctor Who of making monsters or villains or bad guys that were actually relevant to life. There was another one about it was basically a poker Amazon, where you had this big, the humans were packing the boxes for the orders, and then they were being delivered by robots. And I can see Amazon putting a lot of people out of work, because once it all gets automated, no one will have a job. But then they need people to earn money to buy the product. So
yeah, but sometimes they don't think about that.
No. But yeah, it's you know, a lot of things is just normal life, and that episode of with the Cybermen, they converted people through Bluetooth headsets, because people are so hooked on their phones. You know, if you've got some kind of mind altering whatever, that's the best way to get them, because everyone walks around all day doing this.
Yep.
And I find that quite scary.
Yeah.
So
that's why they've started painting directions on the sidewalk, because everybody's looking down.
Yeah. They even came out with an app where you can text, but the background of the text is actually the camera. So you're actually looking at the ground while you're texting. Yeah. So life's a bit easier for me. I can get the sack for just looking at my phone screen, because obviously I'm in a bus.
Right. Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know if it's a British thing or a human thing, but people love to make complaints about bus drivers. So my phone does spend most of my time in my little pouch there. And it only comes out at terminus. So as I come off the bus for a cigarette, the phone comes out and I catch up on messages. But I try to use my phone for good. I mean, you get people, oh, I've just had a wonderful ham salad for my dinner, and they're posting pictures on Facebook. But you know, things like the Route Master group and the bus groups and the hobby groups, I think they're fantastic use of Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in touch with a lot of people that I've lost. Well, I would have lost touch with people I've met on my travels, who they may have just moved to somewhere else. I mean, I got one friend I used to live with her in Bristol, and she's now, I forget where she is, completely different part of the country. And I've moved about 8 times since I first met her, and we're still in touch on Facebook. So for that sense, it's good. But I don't need to be updating my bowel movements on Facebook.
Yeah, I know. How did we survive for all these years without having this capability of showing somebody this ham sandwich, sandwich I just ate or whatever?
What was I read the other day? Thank the Lord for Facebook, because otherwise I would have had to send out 850 letters to people to tell them I'm now off to bed. Which sums things up, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I do also think that with an advancement in technology, I think people become more stupid.
Yeah, they do. We have smartphones and stupid people.
Yes.
I saw this one meme on Facebook that I just lost it, that I really loved. It'll have to come back to me. I just lost it, but it's relevant.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think the best example is when you were a kid, or when we were younger, we'd get a letter come through the mailbox telling us that you are the distant cousin of Mustafa, bloody blah, whatever. And I've got £50 million for you, and I just need a deposit of £50,000. And you would go, no chance. That's a scam. They're just trying to nick my money.
Yeah, you get emails like that all the time.
Yeah. Now you get emails, but so many people fall for them. And what was it? Oh, we're going to get married. I'm going to send him this money, and I've been sending him money, and he's coming over. And have you actually met the guy? No, but he says he loves me. Really. So yeah. And
I remembered what I was going to say. For all of human history, it was thought that the main problem we as human beings had was a lack of good communication. And seeing what social media and stuff like that is like today, no, that really wasn't it.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I don't know. I kind of quite like the saying, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
These tools that we have, they are great, powerful tools, but we're not using them responsibly.
And we've got all this power and technology to send people stupid cat pictures.
Yeah. Well, I will confess, I do like the cat pictures. I did do a very good service yesterday, and I think I shared it. Yeah, I shared a video of a dog that was in a basket thing, and he was jumping, and each time he jumps, he moved.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny. Yeah,
that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then there was another one I shared today, but it was mainly because I've got a friend who has dogs, and it's this dog, and the caption was if Chewbacca and E.T. had a child.
Yeah, that was a good one too. Yeah. Yeah.
That looks a similar breed of dog that my friend has, so it was kind of meant for her. But obviously I posted it publicly so everyone can enjoy it. But sometimes I go through phases of posting absolutely loads of funny stuff, but it depends what I've got and what some of the sites I'm on.
It depends. You go on Facebook some days, and it's like you're seeing the same thing you've seen 20 times, and the rest is all boring.
Yeah.
And other days it's like, wow, here's some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I think it depends on the day of week as well.
Yeah.
There tends to be a lot more crap on Facebook because people have got more time to post crap. So yeah. So right, this time, right, it is 10 to 2 for us. So I am going to think about winding down. I'm really happy with the way the night's gone. Little bit unhappy that I hope Luke didn't leave us unhappy.
Well, I hope not either.
Because he seems a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'll be absolutely honest with you. I was a bit oh, I don't know who this is, and but then I did put the invite out, and I thought, well, anyone deserves a shot, and I might have just let someone in who's just about to cause loads and loads of trouble.
Well, you're the moderator, so you can always kick them out.
Yeah, but within the stream. But then all I have to do is hit the remove button, and they're gone. Actually, I'm really glad that I let him in.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah. So, Luke, if you're watching, we'd love to have you on again. But I mean, with regards to the things like feedback, I don't know why I'm putting drill bits in the filing drawer when there's a drawer marked drill. I'm trying to be more organized. That's why I've got all of these drawers, and it's actually starting to work.
Yeah, but if you get any more drawers and shelves and stuff, you won't have any room on your table anymore.
Oh look, I've got more room. Funnily enough, I used to pile stuff on my table.
Yeah, I remember at your old place.
Yeah, and what used to happen is, as I needed a space, things would get pushed.
Yeah.
Now that I've got, I mean, like, look, this is my Spitfire drawer, and this is my Terminator drawer, and it's just fantastic. And this is my, well, the official label is spares, but this is my whoops, I forgot to make a drawer for something drawer. Yeah, so by having the drawers, and yes, I've got a little bit of a pile coming up round the corner, but then when I can, some of this is just stuff I haven't found a home for, like I want to try and crack this out for next week. This is a panel wash, an enamel thinner, which is something I've never used before. And I'm a bit wary, but again, it's all down to the more you do it, the more experience you have. Because I went in and I said, oh, have you got Tamiya panel wash? And he went, yeah, there you go. And I went, well, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but that says Ammo MiG on the front. He went, yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, really it is, but
yeah. And then I said, I understand what mineral spirits is. We call it white spirit or terps. I said, but I know, because the model shop that I go to, they're very much an advocate of if you can buy something that is available somewhere else under a different name, like they wouldn't sell a packet of 10 Tamiya cotton buds for $1.99 when you can get 400 of them from the pound shop, but they're branded as cotton buds. That's a really bad example, but you understand the principle.
No, but that is a good example. Why buy the Tamiya cotton buds when you can just buy ordinary ones?
Yes, yeah.
They do the job.
Yeah. So, and obviously I can get white spirits or whatever from a DIY store, and it's B&Q do their own brand of one, which is quite cheap, and I don't suppose for a minute that it's the cheapest. But I was desperate for a little bit of something. So I bought that because it's MiG ammo enamel odorless thinner. $4.99 I paid for, $4.49, sorry, I paid for that. For I don't know what the quantity is, 35 milliliters, and I can get a liter of it for about $5. But when you need it for a show tomorrow and you can't get to the DIY store, you don't have a lot of choice, do you?
You do what you got to do, yeah.
Yeah. So
another interesting thing, speaking of washes, back in the 90s, I was reading articles from this guy in a British model magazine, and what he did for his washes was he would go and buy a little kid's inexpensive watercolor set. You know, like the kinds where you get the the coloring book and the brush and then those little solid round discs.
Color.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what he would use.
Yeah, I've seen people scraping chalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's quite interesting. But yeah, no, this is what I mean with figure painting. These little pots of paint. I mean, obviously, Games Workshop is going to tell you must use that pot.
Right.
This is about £3 or £4 for a pot. You can get cheaper if you get something like Vallejo model color.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just laying down a base coat, these craft acrylics you can buy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on YouTube that are painting their models with craft acrylics.
Yeah. And the really good figure painters are painting it exclusively with craft acrylics. I mean, I've seen videos on, you don't need 200 colors. You need the basic, I think it's about 7 or 8 different colors you need. If you know how to mix the exact shades of color and you understand how the colors work with other colors, you need a black and a white and about 6 other different colors, and you're there.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I learned how to make a color drab, and that changed my painting so much. You know, when someone say just drab it down a bit, it's like, wow, yeah, and it just changes things. Right, I'm just going to do a quick catch up with some of the chat that I've missed. So David Bassett, as a child, the Cybermen scared the poop out of me. Watch from behind the sofa. I think when you're in the different era, when I watch the old Cybermen, I just kind of laugh. But I imagine,
yeah, they did the best they could.
Yeah, but I imagine if I was a child in that era, I would probably be more scared, because I can remember being scared by War of the Worlds, the TV version. That was quite scary. Now I laugh at it, although, you know, I still get the old tension going sometimes. So Dano builds silence. I didn't want to say silence in the library because the silence, when the word silence, I think of the silence, which is nothing to do with the Vashton Nevada, which David Bassett just said. But yeah, no, fair enough. Dano Builds is one of the biggest Doctor Who knowledge bases that I know of. I'm not saying he knows more than anyone, but he knows a hell of a lot. He's a big fan. David Bassett, sorry I post too many pictures of buses and pictures. Do not apologize for posting your passion. As I always tell people, you got this. I'll show you this little trick I learned on Facebook, how to deal with things that you don't want to see. Are you ready for this? There you go. It's called scrolling up. Don't like it, just scroll on. No, if you post your passion, that's your passion, isn't it? I post stuff that nobody really cares about except me, really, but I just enjoy posting it. And maybe if it's that one person somewhere else in the world that enjoys it, that's fine by me.
I post about 1 million pictures of P40s on Facebook.
Oh, you do post an awful lot, don't you? But
yeah.
No, I really enjoy them actually. But for me, it's reference, isn't it? One day I may make a P40F, and just a bit too scared to at the moment because I think I have a critical eye over me at the moment.
Actually, there really is no kit of a P40F. It's my favorite variant. The only actual mainstream kit that came out was from Trumpeter in 32nd scale last year. And I bought one and I opened the box. Then I closed it back up and put it on the shelf. It's like, nah, this is my favorite airplane, and you screwed it up.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. We will. Let's have a. Are you all aware of Scale Mates? Then have you used it before?
I've never used it. I've never actually been there. I didn't know they had this service like you're showing.
I absolutely love it. So P40.
There are conversions for doing P40s.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Right, let's go for 148 because that is my favorite scale. And let's go for a newer kit. So 2000s. Just get the search results down a little bit, and we've got nothing. So obviously no one likes that enough. Oh, we got 11 released this year by the looks of things. Oh, okay then. Well, look, there's a P40F plate. I wonder if they can give us a kit. There we go. No. So what's the closest kit we could get?
Well, many years ago, I did a conversion, and actually, I did it all by hand. I took a P40E, which
Right.
is the previous variant, and I had to modify the tail because the P40E is a short tail, and the P40Fs had a long tail, except for the very early ones. And then I had to make modifications to the radiator inlet in the front because it was a lot deeper, because the Allison engine had a downdraft carburetor, so the air scoop is on top of the cowling. Now on a P40F, that's covered over. Yeah, you can kind of see in that picture there. Oh, you just scrolled past it. There's no air scoop on the top of the cowling. The air intake for the Merlin engine, it had an updraft carburetor, so they had to move the air intake in with the radiator.
Right.
And so it had to be deeper. I had to move it forward, and I kind of scratch built the whole thing. Except for the tail, I got a vacuform kit of a P40N, which had the longer tail, and I grafted that onto it.
Right. So there you go. So we've got some decals for different P40Fs. And we've got, is that books there, I think? But yeah, it looks like I've actually found a kit. Don't know if it's available. Let's have a look.
It doesn't matter if it's available. That kit is terrible.
Is it?
It's terrible.
You already knew it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I suspect you've probably done every. Here we go. Oh, that one's
the one just below it. The one that's just below it there, where your cursor is. That's actually the same kit released by a different company. But they gave you a resin nose, so you could cut the incorrect nose off of the AMT kit and graft the resin nose onto it.
Right. So that second one is the one to get over that
one. Yeah, I bought 4 of those because it's like, oh, this is my favorite variant. They're coming out with an F, and I bought 4 of them, and then it's like, oh, geez.
You bought 4 of them.
Yeah, I bought 4 of them. Yeah.
Wow. So what about this Hobbycraft one? Desert Hawk.
That kit I've actually never seen.
Right.
So I can't comment on it.
This is a 2004 kit. Please be in the marketplace. Oh no. And there
being Hobbycraft, they've been out of business for a while.
Okay. But if we then look at the product timeline, right, so we might get. Now, does this all mean that it's the same kit?
No, not necessarily. They can be different kits from different companies.
If I did this one, that would not be the same kit. God,
That would actually be Hobbycraft's kit. Academy actually cut all the molds for Hobbycraft, and
but I
then
can
they stole them from them, essentially.
Right.
But in some cases, yeah, it's the same kit in a different somebody else's box. They swap molds all the time.
Right. Plus it's Italiari.
Well, actually, that's probably the AMT kit.
Okay.
And that would be
Hobbycraft. You pointed that out, I can really see the differences in the nose and that bit.
Well, that's the early version that with the that would be a B or as that one's listed as a C. The very early versions. That's the type that the you Brits flew in the desert.
From your description, that to me, if you didn't tell me, if that title wasn't there, having looked at your P40F, then I looked at that one. You said, "What aircraft is that?" I wouldn't know.
Well, you would kind of know if you realize that the air for an F there would be no air intake above the
yes
on top of the cowl.
Looks a completely different aircraft.
Yeah,
not a different variant and different aircraft because you've put a lot of focus on the nose,
right?
Nose area, which is where I focused, and I'm like, yeah, that's completely different. You know, it's like, for example, from the air, Spitfires and Hurricanes look fairly similar, don't they? If you don't see the wings,
it's easy to make a mistake. Yeah.
But obviously, like if you said, right, okay, the Hurricane, this is what the wing is like, and then I saw a Spitfire, and you said it was the same aircraft, I go, no, it isn't, because no, that was a really bad example, but you know what I meant. But yeah, there's so many changes on that, so many differences.
Well, they built a lot of different variants, so there were a lot of changes as the years went by. The radiator came further forward in the E variant. Then they were having longitudinal stability problems,
right?
And they were trying to cure that. So with the K variant, they put a very broad chord vertical fin on it, but that didn't seem to fix things. Then they finally found that by just taking the original tail assembly and moving it further aft, that cured the problem. So there's short fuselages and long fuselages.
Ah, right. And it's to do with stability.
Right.
Right. And that one, that C, I'm going to guess, is a short fuselage.
That's a short fuselage, yeah.
Yeah.
The front radiator's further back. It had two machine guns in the upper cowl, two 50 calibers, and then two 30 calibers in each wing. And as I say, that's what the RAF flew in the Western Desert.
Right.
And Australia used them, but they're most famous for being used by the Flying Tigers in China.
Right. So is it perhaps like you'll get one aircraft, one variant would be good in America, and then once they go over to, say, for example, a desert area, it's no good because it's not coping with the weather. So then they'll do something different, and that's good for desert warfare. But then when you take it back to America, it's a load of pile of junk.
Well, it also depends on your point of view. A good example is a naval aircraft, the Brewster Buffalo, which actually originally beat out the Wildcat for the Navy as their first monoplane fighter. And we used it. The Dutch used it. They were given to the RAF, and they used them in Singapore and stuff. And everybody found them to be just pieces of junk. But we also sold some to Finland, and in their combats with the with Russia prior to, World War II really getting broken out, they found them to be phenomenal. They made aces.
So it's probably weather conditions then, is it?
Well, not just weather conditions. I think it's in the quality of your pilots and the fact that, well, this is what we got. We got to do the best we can with it. There's nothing else. And
Right.
they just learned to use it correctly.
Okay. Yeah.
You can have the best. You could have the best plane in the world flown by the worst pilot, and then have the best pilot flying the worst airplane. The best pilot's probably gonna come out pretty well because
yes. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, then. So, David Bass has enjoyed tonight. Nice to put a face to you, P40F20. Perhaps I should change my name on here to DH98.
Oh, you like Dragon Rapids, huh?
And then Steve Hyson says, time for bed. Great evening of watching. And talking of bed, I think it's time for mine as well. So unless anybody has anything to add, I'm going to close off the show.
Oh, this has been a lot of fun.
I think it's been
I enjoyed it.
Exactly as I intended it to be. It's like we're all in the room together. We're all doing our own little things. I mean, Chris hasn't been modeling, but he's been part of the group. You've been my font of knowledge, and I've been getting on with a little bit of putting things together, sharing a little bit of knowledge, and then we've got the people, in the chat, and that's exactly how I think it should be. And it's been good fun. So we will be doing this show again next week. We'll see how it goes. Everybody's enjoyed it. It's quite a new concept. Let's see how it goes. But do you remember when the Route Master show was quite a small show? And now it's quite a big event in a lot of people's lives now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you brought the Route Master to the masses.
That was completely by accident.
Yeah.
Because I used to do it on Twitch live on Wednesday to download the footage to edit it for Friday.
I never.
Yeah, and Twitch went down on the Wednesday, and I'm like, oh, I need this footage for Friday. Sod it. Yeah, I'll do it on YouTube. And you can make money on Twitch, and you can get an audience, but YouTube, for me, tends to have a quality audience.
Yeah.
If I continued on Twitch, I could probably be making a lot of money, and I could probably have 300, 400, 500 viewers every time. But
well, if you were as popular as World of Wayne, you'd be making a lot of money too, I bet.
Oh God, yeah. But you know me, I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this for the mind. You apparently don't make.
You're in this for the art.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed Twitch. I made 50 quid on that, and that was really good. I enjoyed that. But yeah. So right, guys, I'm going to let you say goodbye. Who wants to say goodbye first?
Well, goodbye, everybody. I'm glad you were able to find out who I am a bit, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's second as well, because it's been nice to see you again before it's on screen for the first time. It's been awesome, and it's been good knowledge. It's been good review pen. Thanks for fighting me. I would like to say, share, subscribe, guys, to keep all the funds going up.
Yeah. The more we can promote one channel, that enables us to promote other channels and vice versa. And I think that's what it's all about. Sharing the hobby love.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you very much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for watching. So, a quick comment before we go. Looking forward to next week's show. As Penny knows, I have a friend who owns a real Route Master. It's one of the long versions. RML 2440, which was based in High Wycombe. And then good night all. And I will end it with exactly the same. Good night. Take
Good
care.
night.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.